All right, we're officially live right now, so we're actually connected through YouTube. So give this a few minutes. We'll get an audience build up here.
Well, good. I can finish eating.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Anytime I go live, like all right, I see somebody jumping on there. So once I go live, the audience will start building because I actually have shared this around. So, Dinobot. There's Dinobot. He's jumping on
around to everybody but me. I didn't know we was doing this tonight.
Yeah, Sam Thomas. Yeah, see, we go live normally we go live every Friday night. But lately I've just been finding it's been a lot easier, more convenient to do this on Saturday nights. So, all right. So we got the audience building up, people checking in already. Dinobot saying, "Hey, man." Sam Thomas said, "Hey guys," and we got Blount County Bigfoot Research Organization, aka Brandon Moore. So, what's up, guys? Glad you guys are on here. And for those who are just jumping on, feel free to take advantage of the share button. Go ahead and share this away. I have this shared in a few groups. And so, yes, it's been a while. That's right. It has been a while since we've been on YouTube. It's been a couple of weeks anyway. A lot of us been busy working, etc., etc. Tonight we have the usual Mr. Baltimore Galvan Jr., Nikki Cologne, and from Poor Boys Paranormal, we have Mr. Gary Spikes Jr. So he's got his camera turned on. Oh, okay. There he is right there. He's actually in the middle of eating. We interrupted his dinner.
Yeah, so pleasant surprise.
So yeah, Gary, I didn't say if you want to close off your mic and finish eating, or
yeah, give me just a second.
I totally understand. Take your time. All right, we have Miss B. Lynn with us. All right. So anyway, glad to see the audience is growing and building up. Again, everybody, please take advantage. Share this away. Share this in your groups. And we'll be watching the live chat the best we can. And meanwhile, I'm going to check in and see how Baltimore's doing. Baltimore, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I've been working like crazy, and I had a pretty close to an 8-hour day today, and I got home and got ready for this program and everything like that. My fiance brought me a wonderful pizza, and we put some hot dogs on the grill, and I enjoyed myself a nice cold beer. So.
Nice. I actually did the same thing today. I went out this morning, went out and about, had to check in, run a couple of errands, got me some beer. I only had 2 of them, but and I actually got me a pizza earlier from up the street, but kept it light. I only had a few slices. I didn't want to eat too much earlier, so. All right, I see Gary currently jumped off. I'm sure he'll be back. Nikki's disappearing. She's hiding behind the curtain. So, oh, no, wait. Nikki jumped off. We still got Gary. Okay. Nikki's taking care. Nikki must be attending to her children. So I'm sure she'll be back shortly. Yeah, it's been a long week for me and myself. Of course, driving on the road all the time is a long week, and I haven't been up to nothing too much special myself, just kind of keeping it simple and surviving the work week, Tell you what, last time we had Gary, we were on Gary. Gary was with us, vice versa. We had some. We went in some pretty good discussions there. What was that? Just last week, wasn't it, Gary?
Almost 2 weeks ago.
Has it been that long already?
Yeah, because I've already released a show and going to release another one tomorrow. I think it wasn't this previous Sunday. It was like the Thursday before that or Friday before that, I think.
Okay, man, time has flying by.
I thought it was just like yesterday. Wow.
I know. It seems like it was just at least a few days ago. Anyway, yeah. Wow.
Well, I know it was before the weekend because over the weekend you ended up going out into the woods. Me and you had the conversation on Saturday.
Right.
I wanted to do this last weekend and we couldn't get it worked out, so ended up me and Baldy got on the phone with each other and was on the phone for like a close to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Great.
A great conversation. It was
totally amazing.
I know. Now I could be getting this mixed up a little bit because I was after yours, Gary. I was with I was on another show with Bigfoot Explorer.
With Sky and
It was a
Patrick Vaughn and
yeah, exactly. Sky and Scott Owen. And tell you what, that was very interesting itself. We had a good discussion with them as well, and they got the links. I don't know if they'll be able to make it on tonight because, first of all, I'm not sure using this platform. Are you familiar with how many people you could have on here?
who, me?
Yeah,
I know you're a paid, so you can have, I think, up to 10. With me,
up to 10. Whoa.
I think I can pull it up right quick. And then me on the free side, I think it's up to 6. Let me pull it up right quick.
Yeah, because so far, since I've been doing this is the most I've had on here so far, including me, 4 people total. So
I know you can have 4, even with the free, and you're on a paid.
Yeah, I'm on the low paid one. I'm on like it's $20 or whatever it is a month.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Huh. Okay.
Just a second, I'll have the information right here.
Now, I know one of the discussions that we didn't quite get into it, but I was actually curious. I know I think we started to talk about some stick structures and the meaning behind some of them. Maybe we could get into some of that tonight. And Dinobot has actually asked a question for you, Gary. He's directing it towards you anyway.
Okay.
He say, "What do you think is the population of Sasquatches in North America?" So he goes on to say, "I'd say roughly 2,000 to 4,000 individuals." So that's a good question.
Very good. We had a real serious discussion with another group and another individual that's a biologist, and he seems to think that there are more than that now, that there's probably 2,000 to 4,000 just in Oklahoma and Texas alone. He's under the assumption of probably 30 to 50,000 and growing because of the whole they was trying to he put an association with when smallpox came in and took out a lot of the Native Americans and the First Nations folks in the last of the 1800s, that it might have taken out some of them. Please excuse my terminology, but had demolished the population of the Sasquatch also. And that's the reason he seemed to think that there, in his opinion, a direct correlation with that, and the reason we're having escalation of sightings and reports now. Me, on a personal opinion, I wouldn't say that many. I'd probably say throughout the nation, maybe 10. Would that be a accurate number? Because if we had more than that, there would definitely be some kind of evidence now, documentable evidence.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to try without having the book in front of me. I do have the book, but it's not within reach right now. And I'm going to try to remember that. I may please people, for those who are familiar with Lauren Coleman, his book, Bigfoot, Apes in North America. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in that book, he made a quote. It's just, he made a quote where I guess it was all based off of his theory or his the possibility of belief. For every 100 that's why I shouldn't even try to quote it, because I don't even remember exactly how it says. But he used bears in comparison to the population of Sasquatch. To every so many bears, you got to include, one Sasquatch in that area. And the population of bears is pretty big, but yeah, anyone who might be familiar with that, like I said, I can't recall that number or that quote. I wish I could look it up, but
I'm actually trying to look it up now myself.
Yeah, it's Lauren Coleman.
Yeah,
and
wow, he's written 40 books.
See, Daniel, we cannot give an actual number about
right
about how many Bigfoot in one area. I mean, we just have to take a guess. And there's sometimes our guess might be right and our guess might be wrong. Is that 50-50 chance?
Right.
It's like here in B County. Here maybe like around a couple of years ago, there was a pair seen, and then after that, maybe like around maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, there was another female with a baby. But the thing is, again, the number we just don't know. In one area it could probably be like around 10 or like around 10, maybe in B County, but I'm just assuming. I just don't know. But it's just everything
Right.
according to the eyewitnesses that they actually seen by height. There was actually one that was seen that was pretty close to like around 5 feet tall, and then there's actually a doubles that have actually been seen pretty close to 9 to 6 feet tall. So it's just a random guess. So here in B County, I could actually say maybe pretty close to around maybe like around 10, maybe, and the surrounding areas are just taking a wild guess, maybe like around 30. So because we do have some food supplies to keep these animals alive here. So I mean,
Right.
but everything's just a guess. So
Um, B. Lynn says seems to be an increase in sightings, people having cell phones, et cetera, et cetera. Another question to Gary: what do you think the Sasquatch is? A large hominid or a human species, or a large bipedal hominid or ape species? That's a good. Yeah, that's we kind of talked about that a little bit last week too. I think, or whenever
Yeah.
last time. That was actually interesting. So
Y'all are going to get a kick when I say this. I genuinely tried not to define
right,
it is at this time. I know what I seen face to face I will say this, had cognitive thought. It literally seen me grab for the pistol and its eyes dilated up to where you could see it and it recognized it, and that's when it took off. I have seen that kind of behavior in chimpanzees and interacted with chimpanzees in a way and other primates in a way that they have that level of thought. But I honestly, and I normally try not to get into that conversation, but I'll go ahead and say it. I honestly think that these are at least a higher primate. I would lean more to say that they're closer to a human than they are a primate because of the intelligence level that we're seeing in reports and the amount, and especially with the First Nations folks. We're doing number 5, but with the First Nations stories, I think these have got a higher cognitive thought level and actually have a sentient being about them.
hey, we got. How you doing, Christy?
Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
Not too bad. Glad you can make it on here. I sent Scott a link too, but I don't know if he'll be able to make it on tonight. So
I don't know. He probably.
all right. Well, how are you doing?
I am doing good. Getting eat up by mosquitoes out here.
So
mosquitoes.
for those who don't know, Christy, she's from Louisiana. So
Woo.
yeah.
with Bigfoot Explorer Scott Owens.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not good at introductions sometimes.
That's okay, Daniel. No problem. Who else is in here?
Well, we got 2 Texas residents, Baltimore Galvan Jr., and then we have Miss Nikki Cologne.
Hey.
Hi.
And Gary, correct me if I'm wrong. You're from Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I got that part right. Awesome.
Nice to meet y'all.
And
Yeah, we're having our
mosquitoes-
random Bigfoot discussion.
Hey.
So, Nikki, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying,
I was
Nikki?
just gonna say, and the mosquitoes are bad all over this year.
But in Louisiana, they're not mosquitoes. They're Apache helicopters.
You ain't lying about that, man. I tell you what. They got a truck that passes down here that sprays it, and it makes it 10 times worse.
I tell you what, last year I was down off of the Pearl River doing a little bit of investigation, and I seen 2 of them, and we was on the west side of the river, and they looked at each other and says, do we want to eat him here or take him across the river and eat him? And the other one said, we better eat him here because they're bigger across the river. Well, folks, I'm a big boy, but you ain't never seen a fat boy run so fast. I took off back to Oklahoma because I wasn't going to wait around for him to try to eat me.
Oh, I know
We've
that's
already
right.
had 3 confirmed West Nile virus from the
Ooh,
mosquitoes.
Wow.
They got it. We have what is across the river, and they had, I think last year they had like 2 cases there. You know,
Mhm.
with the horses, people have their horses out, and of course, you can't always protect people and things from them things.
I'll tell you, one that's got me spooked more, especially Baldy down where you're at, along the coast. My son's in Galveston. That whole flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it's doing that in salt water, it'll be in fresh water before too long.
Correct.
Absolutely. Yep. I want to bring it up just to brag. Thank you. Dinobot brought it up earlier. My YouTube channel finally broke over 2,000 subscribers. So,
Wow.
but it's been stuck in the 1900s for a long time. I'm finally catching up to everybody else.
Here I was having it for 20.
I know a lot of people. There's some people there that's got 20, 30,000 subscribers, and they've been around a lot longer than I have. So
I'm talking 20 people.
Oh, 20 people. Okay.
Hey, I'm
that's
new.
okay.
We've been doing this a total of Daniel, you was my 3rd guest, so I've got a total of 6 episodes out now.
Okay. Definitely take advantage of share it. Feel free to share it around, and I got the ECBRO Facebook group. I actually got a few Facebook groups, but feel free to share it around between me or one of my administrators. We'll approve you. We'll get you in there, and so the more people that because a lot of people, they love this stuff. They love interviews, discussions, because they people like we ask questions for ourselves, and the audience asks questions, and I noticed they love that. We try to share if there's something that we know, or we try to give the best logical explanation possible, and it gives everybody a little bit of insight. So
we'll give you an idea. Our little live broadcast, y'all streamed into me, and then I broadcasted it live just in the 2 groups that my group and then my parent group. Got to give them credit, Southern Bigfoot Alliance. But we had within 2 days we had over 1,000 views.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Good.
Very.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. So
I'm going to get the deep power spray. These mosquitoes are really tearing me up. Wait, hold on 1 second, y'all.
So Christy, no wine tonight?
No,
or is that just that's just on Wednesdays?
Yeah, that's just wine Wednesdays. I'm not really much of a drinker. I smoke my cigarettes. That's how I stay and be married. Fantastic. You hear me? This is a person's best friend. You can sit there and spray it and keep them away. Oh, this stupid cat came in the house. Come on. Oh, cat.
I can send my dog down there and he'll take care of that cat for you.
Yeah, we got a dog, but she's scared of the cat. I'm telling you, this is the best stuff. The deep woods off.
Oh yeah.
You smell like a freaking air freshener, but that's okay. I don't mind it. But if it keeps them away from me, I'm happy.
I tell you what, I swear by one thing I love to use is the citronella candles. I use them for camping or out on the back porch if I'm sitting out. But,
Yes, they're good.
Yeah, I love the smell of them too.
We
usually have a pretty good smell.
Matter of fact, my wife's got one going on the front porch right now. But if I'm out in the woods doing investigations, I like using you can order it online or order it through Cabela's, but it's a yellow bottle. It's a permethrin.
That's what we use. Scott, when we went out to the woods last weekend, the week about a month ago, he bought some of that from Academy, and he's like, can't let it get on your skin, and I'm like, why? He says you can't. So
It'll
he
make it
sprayed. Yeah, he sprayed down good. And then this last time we went Bigfoot, well, scouting the area, we went through 3 different spots. And when I got home, he says, make sure you check yourself. I said, okay. So I'm, checking myself, and I happened to jump in the tub, and I seen this black thing on my foot, and I'm saying, what is that dirt? And I'm like, no way. Well, guess what? It was a freaking tick, and I was freaking out. I told Scott, I said, I think I have a tick on my body. I feel like I got some kind of body lice. How do I get it off?
Well, you'd hate coming up here to Oklahoma and going out with me. I'll come home, just going to my property in southern Oklahoma. I'll come home and the wife will pick 30 to 40 of them off of me.
Oh my God. No. That freaks me out. Well, he told me to take a cotton ball with some alcohol on it and put it on there and let it sit, and they'll back themselves out. Well, unfortunately, my mama had fell and sprained her ankle because my mom's been through a lot. That's a story, 2 strokes, a heart attack, cancer, now she's on dialysis. So, I'm at their house, so I come here and take care of her. So, she actually went to the hospital that night, and I was like, I gotta get to the hospital. I ain't got time to fool with this damn tick. He says, well, try to pinch it with the tweezers.
I'm doing a live broadcast real quick. I'm doing a live broadcast real quick, and they cut the grass already.
I grabbed it and I was plucking it. I'm going, oh please God, please let this thing come out. And when I did, I plucked it, and I'm like, yes, I got it. Yeah. I am not doing that again.
Hey, Daniel, up there where you're at.
I'll try. All right, brother.
Do you wear high top boots when you're out in the woods?
Yes and no. I mean, the boots, I don't. You referring to more like snake boots or something, or
well, any kind of boot?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the hiking boots I wear, they're more for they're hunting boots, and they come up around mid calf.
Grab you a couple of dog collars, swing them around your ankles, loop them through your. Run them around your ankles and buckle them, but put them through your laces. It'll keep a lot of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been avoiding a lot of ticks lately because I haven't been out in the woods as much. Because it's just I've been so busy lately. And then I got a few minor things I've been touching up as far as a few minor things with my vehicle. So I haven't been traveling as much as I want to. So, but when I do get out there, don't worry. Everything's so grown in. There's a lot of talk. Everything's all grown in. The main thing I really worry about is walking into the wrong place because as far as the poison ivy is so full out there. But then again, poison ivy, I've gotten so much of that. I've gotten so much poison ivy, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. So.
I know it's pretty thick up there in Virginia. It's.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what, guys. There was a question on here I wanted to throw out there. It's from Dinobot again, and he's not directing it to anyone in particular, but whoever wants to take the first whack at this, go ahead. And before I ask this question, for anyone else who may have questions, please ask them in capitalizations. So. We could see them easier. So the question is, do you think that Sasquatches have sexual I don't know if I'm saying this right, dimorphism, differences between the sexes? Not sure exactly what that is. But yeah, the word he used was dimorphism. So let me get... So let me see if I could pull that up.
Here, I'm working on it now.
Okay.
Dimorphism.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that if a Bigfoot of actually male probably has a female, I think that they probably might mate for life, because there's actually species like wolves and things like that actually has that. Even for us, we actually, we actually have one spouse. So I believe that probably that they probably might mate for life. So.
Is that what that means?
Well, I'm trying to pull it up on my phone, and my phone.
Dimorphism. Okay.
Yeah, I got the word trying to pull up.
Dimorphism.
Dimorphism in humans. That's what
According
pulled
to
up. And
sexual dimorphism is the condition where the two sexes of the same species exhibit different characteristics beyond the differences in their sexual organs.
Did y'all hear that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they would be different. I would hope you could tell by a female and a male.
Well, in saying that though, in a pragmatic view, everybody does say that Patty did have breasts. I have heard a lot of males having get excited, and which is very common in primates, but getting excited and having erections. So I would say yes myself. That's kind of a little adult, but that's about the only way I know how to put it.
Yeah, I believe it's safe to say I don't think Sasquatch go through any transformations or anything. So
I think every animal except for in an amoebas and single celled, there's a few multicellular organisms and one breed of frogs that I know that can change their sex. Other than that, I'd say probably 99% of all the animals on the earth have I can't pronounce the word demorph, or however you say it.
Yeah, I think you said it right. Dimorphism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that they do. I do know that the one that I seen, just by the interpretation of what I seen, he was a male.
All right, I'm just checking the chat here, see if there's anything else we missed on that. Because Brown Dwarf was asking Dino, what is that?
oh, Brown Dwarf's on here. You see, I can't see the chat. It says private when I try to click on it.
Oh.
No, the private that's shown on your end is if you message, that's only from us in here to see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see the chat.
If you want to actually see the chat, you'll probably have to go to my YouTube channel to see the chat underneath. Like if you were watching a live chat through the video, because all you guys are all on the studio here on the StreamYard studio.
Yeah, and I'm on my cell phone. Oh, Scott asked me to draw a Bigfoot, and I haven't drew in years. And he says, "Well, why don't you show your Bigfoot?" Okay, Scott, I will. Wait, let me see.
Oh, cool.
Okay. That is pretty cool looking.
Miss Sky.
That's
Since we don't have any questions, got in a very good discussion in your group. Bigfoot Odyssey, correct? Is your group?
No, Bigfoot Explorer.
Oh, okay.
Bigfoot Explorer, Scott Owens.
Okay.
Yeah, Bigfoot Odyssey. That's
Carrie.
Bigfoot
Carrie.
Explorer Arnold
is connected with Odyssey, yes, but we are on a separate identity.
Just the other day, I got into a discussion about tracks and foot deformities.
Yes.
Do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Did you see the foot that the guy just posted the picture of his foot and said, well, there is a deformities does have a tendency to mess with the tracks? Do you remember that one? That was me. In saying that, there was a statement brought up in that conversation that I actually wanted to ask you, Daniel and Baldy, about toe slaying in concordance to terrain and weight of the animal.
Okay, say that again. The toe displayed
out on the foot of a Sasquatch in concordance to the weight of the animal or the terrain.
Well,
I would say
go ahead,
a little bit of both, to be honest with you. But then again, if we compare them to other species like deer, mountain lion, usually when they say, like, I know when a deer, a heavy enough deer, the hoofs will spread. I believe it's the same situation with like a mountain lion too, where if they happen to step through mud, yeah, their toes or their paws are going to spread. Um, usually if they're heavy enough too.
Yeah.
But I noticed that's more common with deer because a heavy buck or even a doe, if they're heavy enough, their hoofs, the weight will spread, especially in mud, or soft soil. Then again, I believe it could be a little bit of both, but I'm going to say mainly weight. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So
See,
Baltimore, you go ahead.
yeah, for me, I mean, again, for me personally, I think outside the box. Gary, Daniel, and Nikki, I've always thought outside the box.
Yeah.
And the thing is, again, it's to me is what's their characteristics. When they're going somewhere, they're walking on twos, and then let's say, for example, if they're hunting or something like that, when they get to a faster location, then they'll walk on fours. And but the thing is, again, people fail to realize is that Bigfoot spends a lot of their time walking on twos, but they also spend a lot of time walking on their fours, like in their knuckles and things like that. And everything depends upon what they're doing. We could find one track or just one footprint, and then all of a sudden, everything else gets lost.
Yeah.
But we have to, but we just have to know what is actually doing there at that one particular moment. Is it traveling to one location, or is it hunting, or is it stalking? We just don't know. Because the thing is, again, we could come up to so many different conclusions. There's some. I've only found one track in Beat County, and then I actually had me personally, I actually found one track, and another one kind of threw me off, and then because they only had uh, uh, four stuff, and we finally realized that it wasn't a footprint, that it was actually a knuckle, a handprint. So because they would throw us off. But the thing is, again, we're the ones that have to be the researchers. We're the one has to figure out exactly what the animal is actually doing at that one moment in time. If that makes any sense.
Miss Sky, that was my computer's acting out. That's my demon. What's your Nikki's thoughts on that subject?
Well, it has to make a difference, all of that weight. And I'm a big skeptic on evidence. Okay, that's like my thing, is that I don't believe in a lot of the tracks that are shown to be evidence of a Bigfoot. So that's one of the things I look at when I'm looking at somebody's tracks or pictures of the tracks, is that splay of the toes.
Absolutely.
If it looks anything remotely similar to toes together, like, we have, because we wear shoes all our lives.
See, now you're getting somewhere. Go ahead.
It doesn't make sense to me, So I really like the thought of the prints that show toes going out, and then that whole lift. Even if you have the mid-tarsal break, you should still have that kickoff and lift off those toes.
Right. See, also too, the thermal couplings of the toe. The marks that's underneath the foot. They've actually have footprints that actually had like a track where it was actually a juvenile. And 10 or 20 years later, they actually found the same footprint with the same matching thermal ridges on there. So like that, they can actually know how these animals actually grew and what area they actually live on. And that is a big clue dealing with the footprints and actually dealing with the tracks that they actually find. So
Kirsty,
Right.
Huh?
what do you think, Kirsty?
Well, I think the variety of different types of footprints is also a signature of different species. Like we found a 3-toe footprint. It's
That's
got
what
the
I
red.
was going to say. In Louisiana, they got the 3-toed down there quite a
We
bit.
got Yes, we got the 3 toes. And like she said, the ones that split apart, that has a little bit better um recognition of if it's a real Bigfoot or not. Because there's a lot of people that hoax them, and you can tell right off the bat what's not real and what's real. So
And
Can you let me know what the difference is? The difference between a real track and a fake track?
well, a fake track ain't gonna go as deep as a real track.
depending on the terrain and the dampness
Exactly.
of yeah.
Yeah, but you could tell. I just some of those footprints that are out there. It's like, yeah, that's fake. I mean, everybody's body's different. We're not all the same
Right.
length. You know what I'm saying? So you can actually look at that and see and determine from it.
Yeah.
Right. See, like for our area, we have a lot of sandy loam, and
Where are you from?
South Central Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a lot of sandy loam, and there's some areas that we actually have a lot of limestone areas, so we actually call it caliche, and it's a real fine white powdered dust. But it basically your sand and your hard limestone, and it's very difficult to find tracks out there. And you'll be, I mean, it's just like a gold mine if you find something like that there, because we actually have like high grasses and everything like that where we actually get cattle. And the other day we actually discussed that there was that dealing with Bigfoot actually goes through cattle trails.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that's one thing that really fascinated me, that it actually brought upon it, because here in South Texas, when we have our droughts, these animals actually go towards follow the cattle trails just for them to get just water. So they're intelligent, and so they use trails and everything like that to actually to find water. So
Yeah.
I thought that was actually perfect, the way that Gary was talking about the other day. I mean, when we
That's
came out there, it was just it was totally amazing. It was like the clashes between uh, clues that we actually had that were actually missing, and to this particular broadcast, everything makes totally good sense.
Yeah, that's like in the movie. Like in a movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek, when he says he always follows the creek.
Well,
Oh, definitely.
that's a very serious discussion that we've had a bunch.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, we were actually talking about that last time with you, but how and how I brought up how I found some of the tracks, some of my tracks, not all of them, but some of my tracks along creek beds and areas of water sources.
Yeah.
So
On the track, the reason I brought that up, I had a PM from somebody in the Bigfoot Odyssey, and they asked me how I came up with the theory that the splaying of the tracks differentiated from terrain, what the animal's doing, whether they're walking, running, launching, jumping, crawling, going on all fours. And I didn't want to tell him about my history of being a professional tracker. I just did this.
Oh, wow.
Prime example of how the toes splay out to
Yes.
take care of that is actually my foot.
yeah.
And that has happened over a period of when I wore shoes all the time, my toes stayed together. As soon as here lately, since I've finally retired from the oil field, I walk around with sandals and barefooted 90% of the time, and my toes in a matter of just 3 years have splayed. Now, prime example of how terrain or injury or just issues, we bind our feet up so much, we have modified our foot structure. These animals don't have that.
Right.
Very right.
See, also too, Gary. See, Gary. Also too, when I was thinking about too, is we do a lot of trapping, for pelts and everything like that. In the '70s and the '80s, they were pretty people actually. That's the way that they got the Christmas presents. They actually trapped a lot, and for coons and whatever. And then I could imagine how many Bigfoots would actually get their finger caught and or their toes cut and in these live traps, and then actually deform their foot, actually deform their toes, or actually got bitten by rattlesnakes or copperheads or water moccasins that may fall again. I mean, just imagine, their feet could be so deformed at times, when something like this actually happens to their feet. So.
Absolutely. And they don't have a doctor to set them correctly.
Right.
Hey, being Christy, you being from Louisiana, I had this discussion also just the other day on my podcast with some individuals from Louisiana down Pearl River area down New Orleans, and
Slidell area.
Yes, ma'am. They said that one of the biggest injuries that they're having with like even alligators is not the big problem down there right now, but the guys that are out in the woods that are out doing the fishing and going through the swamp is turtles. They will remove a toe quicker than anything if a big turtle gets a hold of you.
Oh, you talking about the alligator snapping turtle? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Those things are mean.
Yeah. And you think about it, if one of them gets a hold of you, you're going to lose a toe. And if these things are traversing the terrain that they are, there's don't have to be a variance of tracks. And with you mentioning Baldy, what you mentioned in the track, Dr. Jeff Meldrum actually has a set of tracks from 20 years apart and I think it was 100 and something miles of the same individual that he's actually been able to document out in California.
Right.
It seems like to me, and I loved how you put it, it seems like to me people don't pay enough attention to tracks and trackways. They just find one track and they want to concentrate on it. We'll concentrate on the whole thing because that trackway will tell you a story. It'll tell you what they're doing, where they went, where they come from, where they're going, how they're going to get there, at what speed they're going to get there, and what they're doing while they're going there.
Right.
And I've never understood the philosophy, and I'm not knocking anybody's philosophies, but I've never understood they find one track. Oh, we found this track. Well, if there's one track, there's got to be more.
Agreed.
Let's look and find more, because you're going to find you're going to be able to find a better idea of what they're doing. And I love how Daniel put it the last time we was talking. He said, if they're left one track, they got to be going somewhere and they got to be coming from somewhere. So they've got to leave some more, when we was talking about the creeks.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I seem to hear people say that they like to travel the what they call that, the lines where the telephone lines are at.
Yes.
When they get
Oh
open.
yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly where we found our track at. It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't. My brain ain't thinking right now. So.
Yeah, they normally follow the way that they normally follow like high lines, exactly how you said, railroad tracks, pipelines, because if you actually if you can actually see, they actually clean like those power lines at least once a year, or maybe even twice a year, and they're always cleaning the pipelines right up. And also to the creek beds. And actually, when we have like high water, like we've been having, they actually is actually like an excellent road there for them in the center. So but the thing is, again, I believe that these animals have been around for so long that they know these terrains so well that they know exactly where to go and how to get to one area very, very quickly. If they actually have been seen by a person or whatever, it would try to get there away from them there as soon as fast as they possibly can, and go to an area where they're totally safe in, and stay there for a while, and then after that just come out until they know that they're real safe at. So.
Well.
Yeah. But talking about the power lines and everything, think about how clear that is. What do we call that?
It's a Bigfoot roadway.
There you go.
Yep, the path of least resistance. So
Exactly. Not many men travel it. And also, too, they could also ambush when deer come out into that opening and they're in those woods and they see the deer. It could probably be an open spot for them to hunt on, too.
Correct.
Right.
And also, too, that those telephone poles are actually treated with oil. Like that, they can actually keep their water resistant and everything like that. And what are there not to say that they would actually rub on that to use that as an insect repellent?
Well, I think they stink enough to where the insects ain't gonna fly on them except for the ticks. From what I understand, the way they stink bad.
Exactly. Now, what about the fleas as well?
Yeah,
Because there's actually a lot of fleas also, like in your wild hogs and your wild game, and they have a lot of hogs in there. A lot of fleas is there as well. I could actually what they would actually use for that. I know that Native American Indians use a lot of mud, for them to put stuff on them and stuff, to help them with certain skin viruses and ailments and things like that. So,
well, the Indians use natural stuff from the earth. They don't believe in going to the doctor and saying, "Here, the
right.
doctor." They do their own medicine with natural herbs and stuff from the earth.
Right. I remember also
Yeah.
a long time ago that they would actually use a grease to the raccoon, and actually for a form of medicine like that, they could actually pour in their bodies as well as a insect repellent. If memory serves.
We actually teach in survival schools to render down the fat of a raccoon and consume it during the fall and the winter also, because it helps even with bear fat. You don't want to use any lean animal, and you don't want to use pork because it'll go rancid in your own body. But you consume even the Eskimos consume large amounts of fat to help the body process heat better in the wintertime.
Yes, and and of course they adapt to their surroundings too.
Exactly.
We go out there with the Eskimos and freeze our butts off, but they could be like, "Hey, you need to go back where you came from."
Working in the oil field as much as I did in South Texas all the way up through Oklahoma, you talking about them rubbing on the telephone poles. I would always wonder y'all being, what a BOP is, don't you? The valve that's on the top of the oil well as it comes out. I'd always see it as clean, and I'd always ask the guys, "Did y'all clean this up before I got here?" Because I was always working on that BOP, and they're like, "No." One day I was sitting on the derrick eating lunch, and I seen a bunch of hogs come through, and every one of them had oil all over the top of their backs. And I've hog hunted my whole life and found a bunch of hogs with oil. I thought it was because mud or something. Come to find out, we got a pair of binoculars and watching them, and they was going underneath the oil wells and rubbing up against the BOP and getting that crude oil on them.
Right.
And then they would go, and I was talking to one of the roustabouts, and he said, "Come over here, I want to show you." And over by the tanks on a pump jack, the telephone pole was literally wore down.
Oh, wow.
Right above the ground where the hogs was rubbing up against it to get the oil and the light off of them. If they're doing that, I'm sure the target species is doing it also.
Wait, here, I got a question. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead. The only thing I was going to say, I was just going to bring up, we were talking about, how telephone poles and power lines and stuff like that. I know I've found hairs snagged on power lines in the back, in the national forest, where you have random, just depends on what part of the national forest you're in. I know out my way, we found, hairs that, because bears use them too for rubbing and scratching their backs. And I've collected hair samples from those power lines too. Of course, mine came back as bear, which I pretty much, knew it was bear because there's plenty of bear sign through there. But I know I could tell you a certain other individual, the same hairs I got back as bear, his story comes back, it came back as unknown. But I ain't going to get into that right now.
But I have an interesting question for you. Okay, my dad years ago, my dad used to be a hunter, and he gave it up a long time ago. But one time he was hunting, and it snowing. It snowed down here. You know, we randomly get snow every once in a while, if you want to call it snow. He found a 3-track, like 3 fingers, and he actually just drew it now. And he wanted me to ask y'all if y'all ever seen anything like that before. It didn't have no back. It just had 3. No heel, he said.
Like that, I would say that would probably be a knuckle drag.
Yeah.
A knuckle
Drag.
Knuckle drag.
Hmm.
And it was a wooded area at the time, but now it's built up. And it was also, my dad found it in the paper that somebody else found the tracks too, and it was similar, and it said something about what, unknown. They couldn't identify the prints, the track.
Huh.
The woods went silent.
And all the woods, my dad was walking in, he says the woods went silent.
Now,
You know,
that's something you want to pay attention to.
Yeah. That's a good thing, because the thing is, again, once you go into an area and you could hear these birds going like crazy, you could hear the frogs going like crazy, you could hear the cicadas going like crazy, and the squirrels going in there, and then all of a sudden you walk into an area and you feel nothing but silent.
Yep.
And you get that eerie feeling in your back, you know, that you're being watched, and you just have that skin just crawling upon you, and you come up there. The very first thing is, hey, you better go, because there's something here that wants you out of here. And the more you get close to an area where you don't feel nothing at all, man, then you know that you're safe. But it always gets you wondering, hey, what was that back there? But we already know what it is.
My dad said that the hair on the back of his neck stood up when everything went silent.
See, I know where y'all are at. You got more to worry about than just Sasquatch.
Where, up in Louisiana? Yeah, they got DM out here too.
Loop Guru. My wife is from Louisiana also. So
The Rougarou.
The
Rougarou.
Yep.
That's exactly what a DM is, a dog man.
Yep.
I got something for him, my AR-15.
Now, let me ask you this. I've always wanted to know, what's the difference between the Rougarou and the Bigfoot.
What's the difference between the Rougarou and a Bigfoot?
Right.
The Rougarou is supposedly, from the tales down here, it's a werewolf that is actually a person who turns into a wolf.
Yeah, shapeshifter. Yeah.
Shapeshifter, and it's not a Bigfoot. It's a dog, werewolf. So, I mean, that's the tales that have been told down this way, especially with the Cajun people. I'm not Cajun. I'm Italian, and I do have Potawatomi Indian in my blood. So I had to ask my sister's husband. He's Cajun to the max. Them people eat everything: nutria, raccoon, snakes.
Good eating. What are you talking about?
Talking
about eating and snakes, rats, about Cajun.
They say I know how to speak several different languages, but the Cajuns call the alligators kaimor, and that's what they eat, kaimor.
Wow.
Or like I have picked up several words to say, like in Indian to the Sasquatch, like you say nahalio means no harm. Aishi is friend. There's another one called napisu, and I'm trying to remember what it is. It's been a while since I used the words.
You're getting pretty good at that, Cherokee.
Yeah, I that's what I said. I used to speak Italian. My grandmother was from Italy, so when you learn a language, you learn different dialects and all, and you pick up just like that,
There's sometimes also there's some people, they actually told me, well, yeah, there's sometimes if you see a Bigfoot or whatever, if you want to give it a gift, you have to put whatever it is right on top of your head, and just place it up there in the air, and then just place it down. Or there's sometimes we actually did a lot of offerings that we actually did, for the garden of the for the garden for the basically for the protector of the forest. We went out there and we actually left offerings behind. And there's sometimes too, if you actually would see one, you would actually have to render it and actually give it a gift. Once you see it, and just back away and just leave. That was a lot of stuff that we were actually taught. And there was actually too, when we actually made a meal, we would actually, especially when we have like a ceremony going on and everything like that, we actually made a meal where we actually filled up our plate and actually gave it and to put it way into the woods like that. It will be actually given to grandfather.
Like at a gifting tree.
Exactly.
But you see, this is what I feel, and some other people can seem to think this way, but not everybody does. But I think they feel your intentions when you walk into those woods. I think they feel if you're coming to be a threat, you're gonna have a problem. If you come in there to show love and respect and just come out and not to interfere with anything, then they could tell that. They could tell that you have good intentions.
Right. See, when you go to that one area, they know your smell already.
Yes.
They know exactly the way you speak. They know exactly the way you act. They probably know exactly what kind of vehicle you drive, everything like that. But it's very, very important. That hearing to them is very important because they already know who you are, and they already know that you're going to the woods, and they know what your intents are, exactly what you were saying. So so they again. So if you come in peace, and they know that you come in peace, so and then I kind of feel that they would just leave you alone. But if you have again that ill intent, I'm thinking that he may react just a little bit more differently. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm my whole family is clairvoyant, so I guess you call empath. So you pick up things, you feel things. I've seen ghosts. I mean, it's not something that's not out of the ordinary. But the first time I went in the woods with Scott, I had felt not a bad vibe. It was like you know, hey, you're here, And when we was leaving, I felt it again. So I guess it was knowing that our presence was there. And, I picked that up. So, I mean, not everybody likes to have this gift. I mean, it can be aggravating at times, but it can come in handy sometimes, So.
Hey Gary, send me. I'm reading your information. What's the profile look like? I don't want to send them. There's others by that name. I don't want to send the wrong one. The link.
I recall right. He is wearing a white shirt, muscle shirt, kind of like me, like he's built. He Baldy. Asked Daniel. Joe's not doing nothing. Joe DeHoya, my field correspondent. I was gonna see if he wanted to join.
Is he from San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, he's living in Houston, but white shirt, kind of built, holding the phone in front of him.
Oh, hold on. I got two showing.
Julian DH.
Oh, okay. I was looking. Okay, hold on. That might be why I was. All right, hold on. Julian.
Oh yeah.
Joe. There he is. Hold on, I think. Yep, that's him.
He's the one that you talked to him the other day. The one that I was wanting to go live with. He's kind of my field correspondent down there in South Texas, a good friend. He's been to Falk, Arkansas with me a few times. We've been all over North Texas and into Louisiana.
Oh,
All right, I don't know if he's on. I'm not friends with him. Let him know I sent him the link.
Okay.
He may have to look into his message request since we're not on, So yeah, I sent him the link, so he should be able to join in. So, all right. Dinobot's asking, "Hey Gary, what would you scientifically call Sasquatches? I've heard two potential names. Well, that's an interesting question because we kind of the name Sasquatch has already been deemed, using from Bigfoot to Sasquatch being more in a plural sense.
I think he's like leaning towards maybe the like Homo sapien or Homeo, however you put it.
Oh, okay.
I would. They're definitely in the hominoid. I mean, we everybody can agree with that.
Yeah.
Once again, I lean towards they're more human than they are of the primate species, because everything that I've seen, they hold way too much endearment in their mind and their the cognitive thought. But I would probably say something along the lines of just in a personal aspect. I call them the big man of the forest myself, or the watchers.
Yeah.
But I'd have to once again say something along the lines of something in the Homeo. I'm not real scientific. We need to get my biologist buddy on here. He could give you all the fancy words for it, but something like Homo sapien or Homeo. I think at one time they said something about Homeo erectus. Even they found the Gigantopithecus, but there's a little cousin to it from northeastern China that was of the Homeo status. So that would be my best guess. Personally, like I said, Baldy's heard me call him a bunch. I call him either Big Brother or the big man of the woods.
All right, Dynamite goes on to say that I'll post it up here so everyone can see it.
Oh,
as you see right here, the two names that he's heard are Homo americanensis, dubbed by Todd Standing, and another one being Ameripithecus giganteus.
I could see that for the North American version, but these things do span the globe. That were two great examples for the North American version of it. You get into Almasty in Russia, and I know what everybody says about Todd Standing, but the guy is passionate. I actually know the guy. I met him a few times in survival schools. He actually trained under the guy that I trained under, and he's passionate. I don't know about all the stuff that he's accused of, but he is a very passionate individual for the subject.
Yeah. Well, that's funny that we're bringing that up because.
See, Gary, I'm thinking.
Oh, go ahead, Baltimore.
You there, Baldy?
Okay. Baltimore, are you there? He's there.
See, I come up there. We have a lot of different names for Bigfoot down here, and so the name actually called it was Grita Feo. Can you hear me?
There he is.
Hello, fellas.
Oh, there you go. I almost didn't see the stream because it was hiding down below on my thing.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Can y'all hear me all right?
yeah, we
I'm
hear
ready.
you, Baltimore.
Do.
Hey, could you guys hear Baltimore?
Yeah, I can.
Can y'all hear me all right?
Baldy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore, go ahead. We all hear you.
Yeah. Great. See, the thing is, everybody has different names for Bigfoot. I mean, everybody does. From Booger to the Grassman, or every group, every nationality of people coming to the New World, Native American. Everybody has a word for Bigfoot. Scientific, whatever. And here recently, we started calling it Grita Feo, and basically in Spanish it means he who screams ugly. And so, I mean, there's a lot of different names for it. And so, I kind of agree that it's basically like the same species of Bigfoot. And, like your dogman and everything like that, I believe that it's the same kind of exposes a little bit more.
I would agree 99.9% of it, but I now that everybody I'll let a brother from another mother, Joe De Hoya. He's a mentor of mine. He's been with me
Hey,
for
Joe.
years now.
How you doing, guys?
And Daniel,
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I'll let
Hey, nice to meet you too, man.
Hi.
I always see you around. Just never had a chance to talk to you.
Okay, cool.
in saying that, now that we got Joe here, he's such an integral part of this whole thing that I've put together. But talking about dogmen, I honestly, I think that a lot of the time sightings of each target species is crossed over because of misinterpretation. But I just over the past couple of years, especially with some of the experiences that me and Joe has had down in South Texas around you, and seeing the differentiation of tracks. To me, I'm a tracker. That's what I go by, tracks, and seeing the differentiation in these, I'm under the assumption that there is a separate target species out there. There is Sasquatch and there is dogmen. And I was officially, I haven't said that, released that officially yet on my show, but I am under the assumption that there is two separate target species out there.
I'll agree with that. I think there's a couple of other different species out there besides, Bigfoot. There's just too many sightings of other things, that aren't necessarily Bigfoot related. So I think there's different species out there.
Yeah, there's a variety of species that I think are cool that that they're considered a possibility, but they're the kind of more or less put on the back burner until there's because I'm a skeptic on a lot of others. I'm not a skeptic when it comes to Bigfoot, but I am a skeptic on a lot of the other species or the other cryptids that that are labeled or put out there and or researched or whatever how you guys want to put that. But like for example, I use Mothman. I'm a skeptic on Mothman. I mean, it would have to be because to me something like a Mothman, there's too many other things that it could be. But I guess it would have to be some kind of other solid evidence of their. Because what people describe sounds like it comes out of the movies.
Yeah.
Hey Joe,
What's
do you know
that?
while you're there in San?
What was that now about the Guadalupe?
Do you actually check the Guadalupe River, the San Antonio River? What actually areas do you research at?
I was out in the hill country, yeah, but now I'm back in Houston where I originally started doing a lot of research. I did a lot of it in Sam Houston, some in the Davy Crockett, some in the Big Thicket, but I bet about 80% of my research was in the Sam Houston. I did a little bit out by Canyon Lake. I still got a few more trips out there that I'm planning on making this year, as a matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks.
Let's just say that Joe's had an interesting past 24 to 48 hours.
Oh man, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did anybody catch that in my group?
Yeah.
Did you catch it?
I can tell them what happened yesterday.
Yeah, go ahead right quick. Daniel, you'll get a kick out of it.
So I don't know
go ahead.
If you guys has heard any of my stuff that I do out the Sam Houston, there's this particular part of the Lone Star Trail. It's actually that segment. It's a pretty long segment, but within these 2 miles, there's a lot of activity. And this friend of mine, I don't want to say his name. He might not want me to say his name, but I just met him about a month ago, and he's been out there. And he's had some same experience. As a matter of fact, I found like 5-inch tracks out there, small tracks, about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I found an 8-inch track, and about 2 weeks after I did, he found an 8-inch track. I've had rocks thrown at me, a stick thrown at me out there, heard vocals, screams, whoops, tree knocks, and the last couple of times I went out there, I don't think I had any experiences. Then yesterday I went out there, and I'm walking down, and I heard some hogs, a hog, and I said, "Damn, I hate messing with hogs," So I actually got off trail and I started walking along the shoreline of the lake that's right there. I walked along the shoreline, and then I jumped back on the trail, walked a little bit some more, and I heard another hog. I said, "Damn, man, these damn hogs are everywhere." So I get off the trail again, start walking along the edge, come back on a little bit later on, And then I heard some movement, and I was like, okay, is that a hog or what? I said, well, regardless, there's nowhere else for me to go now. I'm in the woods now. I don't want to go in the brush and have to fight a hog. So I got my pistol out, which I hadn't had a round in it yet. So when I chambered the round, I heard this vocal. It was like a roll, roll. That's exactly how it went. You know, and it was the weirdest damn vocal I had ever heard. You know, and that's kind of how I can't do it perfect, but you know, I feel silly doing it. And that was maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 yards from me. It was just like, roll, roll. Just real quick as soon as I chambered it. And then so I'm sitting around there and I'm listening, and I heard what sounds like a wood knock. It may be in like a tongue pop. That's what I was telling Gary, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, I was you know, I was by myself, you know. So that noise came to my left along with that wood knock or tongue pop, whatever it was. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. I don't remember I was talking on the phone with you at that time, Gary, but all of a sudden I heard some noise from my right, you know, some movement. Whatever it was big. And I was like, shit, I didn't want to, you know, go any further. I did, but I kind of chickened out and I went back and I said, you know what, I'm not going to mess with whatever's over there. So I'm walking back and I probably get maybe half a mile and I hear this, rah, you know, from where I was at. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I had, as a matter of fact, I had just picked up my phone. I was going to go live on Facebook. I was going to, you know, tell everybody what happened. And I had my phone in my hand. Right before I hit the live button, I heard a rah. Yeah.
Whatever was telling you, put that down. You don't need to advertise. Film us.
The impression I got, in all honesty, was like, and stay out, you know, and stay out, you know, don't come back. That's you know, that's what I felt. You know?
And that was in Sam Houston.
Yeah. So did I send you that video today, Gary? Did you see that video?
I hadn't had a chance yet. I've been doing it.
So today, that guy. Okay, this happened to me yesterday. That guy goes out there. He actually recorded a very similar scream. He has it on recording. It happened to him today in the same area. He was maybe half a mile from where I was at, maybe in that same area. And that's his. He posted it on JRG, as a matter of fact. So if anyone's a member, you can go and look at it. I'm not going to share his stuff, but you know, if you're a member of JRG, it's definitely on JRG's Facebook page.
Well, one thing too is that area of Sam Houston has a long history of pretty famous activity like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. In that same area, I'm telling you guys, there was two hunters who were out, you know, hunting hogs. I keep looking for that story. I don't remember what podcast I heard it on, but it was that same area. They went into that particular campground. The only reason why I don't like saying the names of these areas, because everybody will show up and scare everything away.
Yes.
You know, and that's the only reason why I don't like saying names of campgrounds. It's a popular campground, I'll say that much. But they went into that campground and they didn't even go that far, maybe, you know, within a mile or so. And they got surrounded that night, and they even talk about how these things were the vocals were making it almost sound like they were singing. You know, I'm not saying they were singing, but there's something the vocals that, you know, that they described it.
Nikki, this area he's talking about, would this be closer to you or Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Where are you at, Nikki? What part of Texas?
Oh, I'm in El Paso.
Oh yeah, she's way out west.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
way out west.
I'm right on the corner, and
so
anywhere
I
go now is up in New Mexico because there's nothing in my immediate area.
Okay.
And Julia, how far are you from
because
B County?
Because he's close to me.
Rose.
Hey, Baltimore, hold on, you're breaking up.
So a few years ago, I had a friend of mine. He was out near Sour Lake, which is about, I don't know, hour and a half maybe from Houston. It's not very far, about the same distance as the same as the forest. And he had an encounter where this thing walked out. Well, he actually heard some whoops. He didn't know what was going on, so he whooped back. He had no idea it was about Bigfoot. So whatever it was whooping at him, he was whooping at it right back. His two buddies. And he said they started hearing the footsteps. They smelled this nasty smell. And him and his friends thought maybe it was a person messing with them. They got their flashlights out. They were shining. And he said they saw it step out, you know, from a clearing from one tree to another. get to that clearing was like 7 to 8 feet wide, and it cleared it in one step. You know.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that dude, he's like 6'4", I want to say 6'4", 6'5", and he said he would only came up just right below his shoulder. You know, he said this thing was
Ooh.
huge, and they, you know, they were scared, and they, you know, they shot at it. I mean, they didn't shoot it; they shot at it. You know, he had a 45, his buddy had a shotgun, somebody else had a 9mm, and they went to the tree to go see where it was at, and he said it was gone, but they didn't hear it leave. They heard it coming, they didn't hear it leaving, and so after all the fact, and we kind of put our heads together. We figured it probably went up that tree because they went back to their camp and they sat down facing that direction, and they heard footsteps coming up behind them. And the whole time the smell was there. So they all turned around, they fired in that direction. When they went to go look over there was nothing over there. So we kind of figured that was probably a distraction for the other one to come down and take off. But it pretty much harassed them the whole night. They went to sleep in their tents. It came back to the campground. They actually walked down the road to go see. Yeah, they walked down the road to see how far the smell was, or it was this thing, or just the forest itself stinking up. And you know, when they got far enough to where they couldn't smell it anymore, they went back to their camp, and their camp had been, you know, tossed and turned, ice chest dumped over, all the food was out, nothing was taken. So they put everything back. They go to sleep later on, like 3 o'clock in the morning. This thing comes back, you know, messes with all their stuff again.
Yeah.
And
you butthole.
Yeah, so you know, this time they didn't get out of their tent; they just stayed in their tent until the thing left, and they came out.
Is that where you went today?
Yeah, that's where I went today.
You lucky rascal! So, I have to go with you.
Yeah, so the funny part is another friend of mine. He told me that he was gonna go sight his rifles in. And I said, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, go yeah. This guy's he's a gun freak, so he went to go sight his rifles in 2 weekends ago. And he called me up and he's like, man, I went out, you know, out to the big thicket. I was sighting my rifles in. He goes, and I smelled what smelled like a hot, wet dumpster. You know, like he had stuck his head inside a hot, wet dumpster. And I was like, man, that's pretty nasty, you know, smelling, you know. I said, hey, pin it. That way we can keep it and we can know to go back to this location. He goes, yeah, okay. You know, so he pinned it. He sent it to me. It was the same spot that dude Aaron had went to, the same spot. So that's where I went out there today. And man, there were, the thing about when Aaron went, there were actually tree limbs that were broken over the road. They had to stop several times and cut these limbs out the way. And so when my buddy went a couple weeks ago, he said there was a bunch of trees that were uprooted, but they had been cut up already. I guess maybe the forester came along and cut them up. They may have been blocking the road at one time. But so when I went down there, yeah, you could definitely see them. They were all laying over the roots were up. You know, they were uprooted. I got out. I didn't go in the brush this time because I had shorts. I wore jeans all day yesterday and I was sweating. They're sticking to my legs. So I said, I'm just gonna wear shorts today, you know. So his buddy got a tick on him a couple weeks ago when they went to go sight the rifles in. So I just kind of walked up and on that road. And the only thing that was weird about that was that I did have a strange smell. It smelled like someone's bad breath. I don't know if you ever smelled someone with like halitosis. Yeah, but, you know, and it was only like for a few feet. You know, and then it went away. But that was the only weird thing that happened. But I'm not gonna lie. Every little movement I heard in the forest, I was jumping. And, you know, but I was still spooked from yesterday. I'm still spooked from yesterday. You know,
Ooh.
so I was going out there today, and even driving. That road is so narrow. I have got a small single cab F-150, and I couldn't turn that thing around. I had to wait till I got to a certain area before I could turn it around. It was narrow.
Well, I will tell you, he posted live yesterday, and I was actually able to retrieve the audio and the video from it. And I know of 3 of the popping sounds that we got when he was live yesterday. I'm actually in the process of cleaning them up and editing them up. It was interesting. Yeah, and one of those knocks. I mean, he was close to me, maybe within 120, 130 feet from me, easy.
Ooh.
I think I could almost see where it came from. You know, it was so close because, you know, when I heard it, I was like, man, that's right. I was like, it's right there.
You wouldn't be able to see that grass down there is over 8 feet tall. Yeah. That stuff's
and then on that other live video when I was going live too, there was something way off in the distance that I could see, and the phone was so pixelated so bad. I was like, man, there's something black behind that tree over there, and I can see it. And I you know, the whole time I'm looking behind me, I was filming, so I turned back around and whatever it was wasn't there anymore. And that's what I told Gary. I said, man, I said,
And this
there
was
back
off
there.
the Lone Star Trail?
Yeah.
Okay. I found the
Yeah.
video, but it's real faint.
Yeah, it's real
Play
pixelated.
it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
won't play over the internet
Yeah.
right now. I couldn't play it.
I have a question for Joe. You know where Bear Creek Reservoir is?
Yeah, I've been out there too several times.
They got sightings because I lived out there. I've lived out there for 7 years off of Clay
Okay.
Hill Drive,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
by Bear Creek
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah. We used to go out to Patterson Road all the time. You know, Patterson Road is a
Yeah.
real famous area for hauntings. You know, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't know that? Oh yeah. Yeah, Patterson Road.
No, I
it's like
didn't.
it's one of the one of the most famous places in America, as a matter of fact. You know, for hauntings. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess
They have. Yeah. They have. They've had. What do you call it? I guess like sightings of like orbs and things like that down there. Yeah. Apparitions. You know, there was a
Yeah.
sighting about 5 or 6 years ago of like some kind of a dogman creature down there. As a matter of fact. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's pretty recent.
Highway 6.
Yeah.
1960.
Yeah, I used to go play golf out there.
Yeah, I wanted to see Baltimore. Are you having? I see you keep disappearing. Is your signal? Does it keep dropping you off
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, it's dropping me off. Joe, I really like to meet with you one day because we're having a lot of activity down here in the Bee County area,
And where?
and in the Berkeley area, Buffalo area, and all these areas down here.
Okay.
Down between
yeah, man,
South
let me
Central
know.
Texas.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be willing to go
Yeah,
out there.
because and
Yeah,
I'm also going
perhaps you guys can meet up or connect on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm also going to be doing a Bigfoot quorum down here in Beeville.
Okay.
And we're actually getting some scientists down here also that actually has a whole bunch of evidence down here with us too. And I would love to have you there down here with us.
Yeah, man, that sounds good. I'd be happy to do it.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Joe, you speak Spanish, don't you?
No, man, I'm an Oreo.
Oh, okay. I was
coconut.
under the assumption you did because I know Baltimore knows some Spanish, so I didn't know you guys were going to start.
¿Qué pasa?
Brown on the outside, white on the inside, brother.
Oh, okay.
That's what a coconut is.
You want to hear something funny, Daniel?
What's that?
I've known Joe probably over 3 years now. And, I was telling you about I wanted to do the series of shows on the Hispanic culture and the supernatural beliefs thereof. And, of course, the first thing I did was get a hold of Joe. And I was like, hey, man, you got to help me do this show because we're going to have some folks from Veracruz, Mexico. We're going to contact them with interviews. And he goes, dude, you'd be better off to have Jacob help you. And I'm like, why? He goes, because I don't speak Spanish. I didn't. Oh crap! You speak Spanish, and then I get to thinking about it. Over the 3 years, I've never heard him say a Spanish word.
Yeah, maybe some cuss words. Maybe some cuss words. That's about it.
Well, I was on the assumption Texas because it seems like everyone I meet or come across
South
from Texas, they all
right?
they know Spanish. And the other thing is too, it's just the way it sounded like the way you were talking fast. It's like I bet Spanish is his natural language.
I talk fast. Everyone thinks that.
He's got that click to him that he gets a rolling in it.
Well, when I get excited, I talk fast. So yeah.
It's called Spanglish.
Yeah. So now, if I need a translation, I go to Nikki or Baltimore.
There you go. Problem
Hola,
solved.
¿cómo estás?
There you go. You need some cuss words. You come to me. You come to me for cuss words.
Hey,
No,
Joe,
very well.
Joe, do you think that the population of Bigfoot has increased down here in the South Texas area because of the hogs that are down here?
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
The deer population in Texas is just exploding too.
Right.
So yeah, definitely. I think You know, when you get a lot of a species, they're going to multiply and multiply. You know, I don't know
Right.
how fast they multiply, but you know, it's just like anything else. Once they start growing and start multiplying, and that's just a game of numbers at that point.
Right. Joe, have you actually found? I know this is Bigfoot related, and have you ever found a whole bunch of dead deer, like in one area?
You know, I've never come across anything like that. You know, I've known people who have. You know, I've never seen it. You know, I've been lucky enough that people send me pictures. You know, and some pretty grotesque pictures, man. You know, of animals that are just mutilated. You know, for no reason. They
Right.
weren't even eaten. You know, but I've never come across that. You know, I've come across dead animals, but they look like they died of natural causes. You know, they weren't
Right.
like torn up or anything. You know.
Yeah, I've actually found 3 layers like that in down here,
Mhm.
where they basically were separated pretty close to a mile and a half apart.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty interesting, and I knew that they were Bigfoot related, was because I've actually found the beginning of a layer,
Mhm.
and that's when I had my encounter. And then after that, I would actually find some more dead deer in that same one particular area.
Hmm.
And it was like Joe, I tell you what, it was like clockwork. Like every 3 weeks, you could actually put it by the calendar that there would be another dead deer there.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yeah,
Hmm. That's interesting.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
And then so also down by I'm pretty close to the San Antonio River. Maybe like around in one area, it's like around 20 miles away. And I believe also too that they use the rivers also as a passage for them to come down here,
Oh
and
yeah.
also a lot of the creeks to come down here.
Oh yeah.
I know, yeah, I know that I don't know if you're familiar with the Medio Creek and the
Mhm.
Toto Creek, and that seems to be one of the main areas where they actually come down through.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know, well, that's one of the things I always talked about. There, there are a ton of sightings like in the Hill Country area and all through like San Antonio, all through Austin and things like that. Um, but there are so many rivers and creeks, you know, and I don't think people give that enough credit when they talk about cover. Cover doesn't mean a canopy of a forest. You know, if they can walk through a river bed or a dry creek bed that's 10, 12 feet deep, you'll never see them. You know, especially at
Exactly.
night. You know, I mean that's still cover in itself. So and then not to mention just the terrain itself. You know, you got peaks and valleys that they can walk through. You know, so yeah, man, I think there's a lot more corridors than what people think. You know, and of course I think they use the rivers and the streams and you know to navigate.
I'd hate to go swimming and have something tickle my foot while I'm swimming.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the most interesting things is like on the way to San Antonio, you have like all these creeks. You know, you have like Walnut Creek, Long Branch Creek, Mill
Yeah.
Creek. You know, and then you come across that Hollering Woman's Creek. You know,
Yes.
you have all the typical names, all the common names, and then you have Hollering Woman Creek. You know,
Yes.
I mean, why is that there? You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
You see, we
Yeah.
got creeks down here. We got one called the Bogafalai, the Bogachetta. We got Tangibahoa. That's all Indian names.
Okay. And where are you from again?
I'm from New Orleans, darling.
Oh, okay.
Orleans.
Nowlands. Okay. Yeah, you
No.
know, down towards I guess like near Raymondville, like down south of Texas, there's one called Monkey Run Creek.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes you wonder where they got that name from, Monkey Run Creek.
Monkey. Wait, you said Monkey Run Feet
Creek, Monkey Run Creek.
Creek. Okay,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
But Christy, if I ever make it down there, I want some gumbo.
Well, come
Yeah.
on. You got to come down when the crawfish are in season, too.
That's what I'm saying. I want some crawfish. I want some shrimp. I love some. I'm a major shrimp fan.
Yeah,
I
well,
love me some shrimp.
remember one thing. Crawfish come into season in February, and it ends around June because they get hard and you can't peel them.
Okay.
We usually come down there about every March.
Yeah. I tell you that crawfish with some beer. Oh yeah, good company. That's the night of the life, man.
There you go.
You,
One of the Chinese restaurants I love to go to up here. It's a really nice Chinese buffet, but they always make sure if you go, I think it's if you go in the evenings or mainly on Friday evenings where they have all their different seafood out. They always have a good variety of shrimp and different types of shrimp, but they do have their crawfish, and they usually have pretty good crawfish there. So
wait, let me tell Joe this. When I first moved out to Texas, they got a restaurant on Highway 6. It used to be called Orlando's. Well, we went and ate crawfish there, and the owner of the restaurant was actually sitting behind me. So I started looking at the crawfish, and I'm saying, these don't look right. What is wrong with this? So I cracked one open, and I ate it, and it was bland. And I'm like, well, where's the seasoning? So the owner heard me, and he's like, well, what's wrong with the crawfish? And I'm saying, they're not spicy. And he's like, well, where you from? I said, I'm from New Orleans. We have spices in our crawfish. I said, well, how do y'all boil your crawfish here? He's like, well, we take them, we put them in the water, we boil them, and then we sprinkle the seasoning on top of them. And I looked at him, I said, wait a second.
Cook it with
wait.
Where was this?
This was on Highway 6 by Orlando's. Like when you come off the I-10 and you get on Highway 6 and you go down about a mile and a half. But wait, so
I never heard of them.
You never?
Nope.
Well, I told him, I said, well, let me tell you a little secret. What we do is we purge our crawfish. And he was like, what is purging? I said, you put them in an ice chest, you put water, and you throw salt in there, and it helps them spit out the food and do it the other way. And that's what's cleaning them out. And then you put them in the water, and then you take a bag of seasoning or the liquid seasoning, you put it in with the crawfish while they're cooking. You don't sprinkle seasonings on top of crawfish.
Yeah.
I was like, no. So hopefully I gave the guy a better point of eating crawfish that are spicy, not bland.
How does Bigfoot eat crawfish?
Probably squeeze it in. That's why he makes that noise.
Straight down.
Raw and uncooked.
Yeah. No way. But that's how we do it down here. And then when you do come down here, Daniel, we're gonna have to take you to go eat beignets. That's our New Orleans traditional thing.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Well, they got a place in Katy and by Kima Boardwalk. They got a place that sells beignets.
Well, I still have yet to get to Texas anyway, so Baltimore and Nikki cook for me too. So, Nikki's only showing her what her dinners and meals she prepares for her kids.
Well, they got good barbecue in Texas.
Yeah, I love the barbecue.
I think the restaurant that I used to like to eat at with the seafood was Papado's.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, Papado's.
Well, I just learned that I'll get to try wild boar for the first time in October when I go down to South Carolina. So,
Ooh.
Yeah, they're cooking a wild boar for because we're gonna be camping out, cooking. We're gonna be doing some squatching, and before because I'm going down there for the there's a Bigfoot festival that I'm speaking at. So we'll be squatching the day before and the day after and all that good stuff. So looking forward to that. So
where are you from in Virginia?
I'm in the Shenandoah Valley. To be more specific, Augusta, Rockingham County area.
How far from a paved road are you?
From a paved road?
Yeah.
Probably if I walk out to the front road, well, the driveway's paved. But the road, the street's right out here, about 40, 50 feet.
You're no longer called the Mountain Man.
I'm no longer a mountain man. Okay.
He's one of them city-fied Virginians.
Well, if it helps, this farm now surrounded by farms.
Concrete hillbilly.
Well, I look out the door, I see the mountains, so I'm surrounded by mountains. So it's whatever.
A staple in this household: a squirrel, rabbit, deer. We've got bear meat in there right now. I've got elk in there.
I got groundhogs living underneath the back porch.
They're good.
Every time I pull up, they hit. Yeah, there's an army of them under there. You can stand out there and be still as possible. You'll hear them. They try to be quiet, but you hear them thump and bump and everything under there. So, yeah, we got deer in the backyard. I haven't seen the bear yet, but I know my landlord says there's bear that come through here. So, yeah.
I know they've had I was reading the other day that they've had a population boom of the black bear up there in Virginia.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. There's always been tons of bear up here, but I'll tell you one thing I noticed, and the deer are having. The deer are having their young right now too. I've been seeing a large population of deer, of young deer being, young fawns. And I always thought this ain't the time of year for them to usually, but they are. The deer are just now. A lot of them are giving birth now, which I thought that was a little odd, But so,
you're talking about deer. Kind of get back on the subject. Me and Baldy had a interesting conversation the other night about deer and Bigfoot, the relationship in between the two.
Right.
He brought up something that I never thought about. Being in the woods as much as I have with hunting and fishing, and then the military, and then the survival and the tracking and all that. He asked me a question. He goes, "How many times have you seen deer carcasses with the front legs broke?" And I was like, quite a bit. And then Baldy, I'll let you step in and tell and explain what your theory on that is. And it blew my mind. I could not believe it when he said it.
Yeah, when I remember when my brother was working in Florida, and there was a golf course out there that was actually being built, and so there was a couple of guys that actually cleaned that golf course, and he came up there and they told the story where they were and they opened up the forest there to make the golf course a bit bigger. And then what they would actually find when they would go to the ninth hole, they would find stuff buried into the ninth hole, and buried in the sand trap. And they would actually find that like dead deer, like they were actually got their front legs and they actually tied them like a bag, but the legs were broken up front. And so that was pretty wild. And then so when I came up here and actually found my little Bigfoot layers that I've been finding with the front parts of the deer's front of the legs broken, and it got me thinking that they would actually tie that, break them, and actually use them to tie them up and use them as a bag to carry them with.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
One thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna. You go first, then I'll go.
Okay. Now, talking about deer mutilation. There's one location that I did a camp out in, and me and another fellow researcher, we investigated this area while we camped there. We have found a couple deer kills in there. The one, it could have been a coyote kill or whatever. So was the other one. At the same time, they could have been done by hunters, because during the hunting season, hunting is allowed in this one particular area. So I had to keep that in mind. But in the woods, one of the deer kills that I did come across, of course, the legs were actually literally broken and twisted. The breaks were in, like, how we have our natural hinges, we could bend one way with our elbows, and same with our legs. Well, these were actually broken and bent the opposite direction. A couple of them were twisted. That was in this one particular area. Now, in my main research area, I've come across several different deer kills, but 2 out of the several that I found, they were in totally different areas. I noticed the front snouts of the skulls were ripped off. Like they were missing part of the snout.
Really?
Wow,
That's what I thought was interesting. I was like, what could be doing that? Now, could that be coyote? Could that be a mountain lion? Or could that be a squatch? I don't, I don't know. No,
a coyote or a wolf is known to run up in front and grab them by the front nose.
Right.
But it's funny you say that, because I came across some carcasses in Utah and Wyoming with the front legs broke back underneath them, and I remembered a story, and I'm still trying to track it down, of where in Pennsylvania some Amish folks actually seen a Bigfoot, and they described it how it would come up behind a deer or jump out from behind a deer and just literally grab them around the around their chest, grab their front foot, break it, and then grab at their head with the other hand, from their chest, and just pull their head backwards over their back, over their body. But
yeah,
the nose being ripped off like that, wolves and coyotes, or you can go on any YouTube video and watch a pack of wolves attack a moose or anything, and you'll see them run up behind them and run them in the ground, and then usually the alpha female will come up and grab them by the nose and drag them down.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting. Legs.
Here's something for you. You know how Bigfoot do the wood knocks, right? What did they use to do wood knocks? Somebody had mentioned something about a skull. Like, you find a skull, pop.
I'm sure that could be a possibility, but if you're out there, if you hear enough wood knocks, I know if you could hear what it sounds like to hear wood on wood, especially after doing it yourself, it's pretty distinct. A lot of times it's, I've actually interviewed someone who claimed to have seen a Bigfoot on the side of the road just inside the tree line holding a big stick, but I believe in most cases that it is usually with a stick or a small tree of some sort. But I believe they could use other utensils, other objects. I'm sure. I definitely wouldn't deny that.
Well, every stick
rocks,
yeah, big ass rocks.
Every stick I find in the woods, it breaks apart. Because we heard 2 wood knocks on the one where we found a footprint. Because at the end of the video, I hollered out that, the Pisu and all that, you heard crack, and I was like,
yep.
Right.
Whoa.
See, if Bigfoot could have the power to knock down a perfectly good tree, and then I'm pretty sure that he has the power to break off a branch to a tree and actually use it as something to hit with.
Yeah.
Because we actually don't know the strength of Bigfoot. We don't know actually how strong this animal is, without learning more about it, or what he could lift, or what he could actually break. But I believe that he could actually break off a good sized limb to a tree, and actually use that as something there, or something green compared to something that's dead.
Yeah.
Let me.
I know when this. Oh yeah, I was just gonna make mention real quick. In this one particular area, it's a part of my research area, but it's further up on a ridge, and there's this old log road that goes in. This particular location, this is where I found some of my larger tracks, 16 to 18-inch tracks in the past. Yeah, not a lot of them, just a couple of them.
That's a big boy.
But yeah, not long ago, probably about a few months ago, I was actually in this area, just to visit this area, and I'm walking along. Because when you walk in, you walk down the old log road, then it comes to a small clearing, and then you go behind that. It continues on back to a log, the trail. Then it comes into a much larger area. But now on my way in there, I noticed I didn't pick it up on the way in, but I noticed it on the way out. I was like, how do I overlook all this? Because with so many feet apart, there was at least a series of 3 big 3-4-inch tree limbs on part of a pine tree, but between 10 to 15 feet up, each one was snapped down, on these fresh green trees, and they weren't rotted at all. Something, I don't know. I thought it was weird. I didn't know what to think of it, but like I said, they were around 3 or 4 inches round and broke down, like on they were the same type of trees.
Like he reached up.
Yeah, it's like he just something you could imagine something just grabbing it and pulling it down for whatever reason. I don't, but I thought that was interesting. That was a few months ago. I didn't think much of it, but it's just something that I kept in the back of my mind. I was like, maybe,
Hey, Daniel, I'll be right back, baby. My phone's about to die, so I'm gonna go plug it in. I'll be right back.
Oh, no problem, no problem. We'll be on for a while yet.
Okay, I'll be back.
We haven't
Don't worry.
Another factor that I think a lot of people, I can't say they don't overlook, but they don't think about is if these things are of the primate family, which I don't think they are, but if they are, a gorilla, a lower plains gorilla, has like almost 3 times denser breastbone and ribs than an average human does, and their muscle content on their chest. And of all people, Joe, me and Brian got talking one day, and he sent me a video of a gorilla doing a chest slap, a single hit. And I can't think of her name. Who was the lady that did the Gorillas in the Mist? It wasn't Jane Goodall, was it?
Jane Goodall. Then who was the other one?
Who was the other one? One was chimpanzees, one was gorillas. Well, anyways, you know who I'm talking about.
Seymour? Jane Seymour? I can't remember her name.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They, make a long story short, she had documented that and you're welcome to look it up. I looked it up. A gorilla's chest beat and chest slap.
It's Diane Fossey.
Diane Fossey, thank you. Yes. Can be heard miles away. That's one way that they do long range communication is through their chest slaps. And, you know, I never thought about that until Brian sent me that. Brian Hoolan, I don't know if you know Daniel, is one of the founding members of the SBA. But he sent me that video of one. And, man, it really sounded intriguing. I put it on my big system here at the studio, and you listen to it. And it is deep, and it sounds like a wood knock with a gorilla hitting his chest, you know, one time. It's almost like a real hollow, deep, bassy sound. And that could explain some of the sounds that we're hearing.
Yeah, well, plus they're also known for slapping the ground too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you know, I've been out there and I've heard like someone playing the bongos, kind of, you know, I mean, big ass bongos, but you know, I heard of those solid thuds, boom, 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 you know. Yeah. I've always wondered what those sounds were. I've heard sounds that sounded like you know, like a car door was out in the woods somewhere. Someone slammed the car door. Just a big solid thud, you know. And I've always wondered what that is. And
yeah, I've heard that before up here.
I started thinking maybe it's them jumping out of a tree, you know.
Well, I was wondering about stomps too. I've heard.
Yeah, maybe stomps too, you know. Yeah,
I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, we were talking about gorillas, chimpanzees too, because of their muscle mass. They have more muscle mass versus fat. They have very little fat.
Yeah,
their strength, if you compare their strength to a human, they're between 5 and 10 times the strength over a human. So, yeah, look at a gorilla, and then take on top of a gorilla, look at average, what we would consider an average Sasquatch, say even 500 to 700 pounds, 7 feet tall.
Yeah,
you know. That would have to be, because if we're comparing, that would have to be some serious strength right there. So
that is almost to me, that is almost incomprehensible strength. I mean, for the amount of mass and what they're able to do. And I've always wondered about some of the trees. You know, the pictures you see, the old pictures of the trees uprooted and turned upside down in their hole in Alaska.
You know, I thought this lady. I think she was. I don't remember if she was in Virginia or Kentucky, maybe even Tennessee, but. They had a real bad storm one day, and there was a tree next to the pond, and the tree actually broke in half, and it fell inside the pond, and it got stuck, you know, kind of like a javelin, stuck right in the pond and in mud. And they had their big 4x4 out there trying to pull this tree out of the pond. They couldn't get it, you know, so they just left it there. A few months later, and they had Sasquatch on the property, which they already knew. And her husband said, "Let's take her walk." You know, it was late at night. He had been sick like all day, and he finally woke up, and it's like, you know, I gotta get out of the house. So they walk around the property. And they said they heard this splash, unbelievably loud splash. They said they could actually hear the water being impacted, and they could hear the water falling back down, and you know, into the pond. And they were like, "Oh," you know, they didn't know what it was. They went back in the house, came back out the next morning at daylight, and that damn log that truck couldn't pull out was floating in the water. One of the watchers had grabbed it out of the water and was slamming it in the pond. Yeah.
Hey Joe, we're going to ask you something. Have you ever heard any deep breathing sounds down that creek?
Yeah. Yes.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man, I've heard some some breathing that sound like a compressor. You know, like a compressor decompresses. They sound
Yeah.
just like that. You know. Yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
sounded like something that's real close to you, like 100 times.
My buddy built a parabolic, which I'm building one right now, same kind, out of a squirrel baffle, and
Uh-huh.
so Ernie did that. You know Ernie, Gary.
Mhm.
So we went out there together, and it was the first time he had ever used it, and he has a real good recorder, as a matter of fact. We're out there and we're listening. He's like, man, his eyes get super big. He looks at me and goes, here, you gotta listen to this. So I put the earbuds in my ear. It's like Darth Vader was out there, just
Wow.
like that. So I gave it
Yeah.
back to him, and after it stopped, I said, hey, man, I said, play it back. You know, I want to hear it again. He didn't hit record. You know?
Oh no.
Yeah, it was the first time out there.
I tell you
Now,
how
let
good
me ask
this
you.
recorder is.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Were you on a tree? Were you on a stand, or what?
No, we
what
were
you
walking on the road. It was the middle of the night, you know, and we were just
Wow.
kind of walking along the road, and he had that thing going, you know. He was kind of, you know, going back and forth with it, trying to see what he could hear. Yeah, we
Wow.
heard that. Yeah.
Now let me tell you what happened to me. I heard the same breathing sound down the creek, right? And then as soon as and then I was thinking maybe it was a freak of my imagination. So I came down the tree, and oh man, you're just hearing things because the deep breathing stopped. And I went back on top of the tree, and then I was over there. As soon as my rear end hit the top of that tree stand, the deep breathing sound happened again. And then the very first thing that came to my mind was, how did it feel like somebody's stalking you, basically, or hunting you, or something like
Yeah.
that. So it freaked me out a little bit. So I decided to go home that day. And 2 days later, I came back and my tree stand is knocked down.
Oh wow.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Man.
that's why I asked you if if you ever heard that deep breathing sound, and where were you at and everything like that, if you were in the stand or anything like that. So.
Well, I've heard that breathing without any assistance from any microphone or anything like that, or any parabolic mic. I mean, I've heard it, you know, with my own ears, walking on that Lone Star Trail in that same area.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a feeling that you will never forget, right, dude?
No, man, no. As a matter of fact, I've even heard these crazy grunts that I know is not from a deer. I know it's not from a hog, and it was like I think I even told Gary about it. It sounded like it was so close, like it was actually like in my ear almost, you know. And you're
Right.
almost expecting to feel the breath, you know, from whatever's giving this sound is so close to your ear, you know.
Right. On the same same place where I heard the breathing sound, somebody actually killed this buck and actually put the guts in the creek area. And I went over there the next morning. They didn't tell me that they actually killed a deer there and actually put the guts down the creek. So I actually heard a pack of dogs eating the intestines to this. They were eating something down there.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden I hear a sound, and all of a sudden you see dogs scatter around this thing up there. I said, "What the hell's going on here?" And then I finally realized that the person who actually went hunting there that evening actually told me, "Yeah, I killed a deer there, and I left the guts down the creek." And that's when I realized that the dogs were eating the intestines. Where here comes this thing, whoever scared it right off, eating the intestines. And it was the most crazy, wildest sound I think I've ever heard.
Wow. Real quick, Joe, you mentioned you were building a parabolic mic.
Yeah.
I've actually considered doing that myself, but you know, at this current point, I'm not quite sure. But one thing I do own, I had bought it a while back, never put it to use. But it's I guess it's considered or called a shotgun mic.
Oh yeah.
Now,
I've got one.
yeah, it's only but so long, and it's got yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I got right there.
Yeah.
Could something like that be used to build the parabolic?
You know, I don't know if you could. I mean, I'm sure you could use the mic part because I actually have one. Mine's in my truck right now. And
Yeah.
I've used that, and man, it works great at night, for sure. Well, I'm not saying great at night.
Right.
That's the long time I've ever used it.
Because it has a switch on it. It has short range, long range on it.
Yeah,
And battery powered, right?
It works probably not as good as the parabolic, but it works great. That parabolic can really pinpoint.
Daniel,
that's something
is your microphone self-powered? Does it have a battery inside it?
Yeah, it takes a battery inside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll.
mine does
And
too.
it's got the step.
You do understand
Oh,
that
okay.
you shoot it towards your disc, right?
Do
Yeah.
I say that again now?
You don't put the microphone like this into the microphone. These shotgun
Right.
mics, the sound is directional. You would actually shoot the microphone at your disc.
At the
this.
disc. Oh.
Yeah.
Because the sound reflects off of the disc into the microphone.
Okay.
This is what I use my parabolic right here.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I got a regular parabolic mic, a cheap handheld parabolic mic, which works great.
Yeah, they work great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about $30, $35 mic, parabolic I got, but I haven't used it in quite a while. I need to get a new one because it's taken quite the beating over the years.
You need to invest in the recorder that Joe was talking about, Ernie. I tell you how good it is. Falk, Arkansas, 3 years ago, this one picked up the breeding, the sounds of 3 meth-addicted water buffalo breeding at 150 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
A breeding habit study of 3 water buffaloes. We found out there was water buffaloes the next morning when they walked out of the tent.
Yeah. Yeah. You should have heard the noise they were making, buddy.
It was bad.
What kind of recorder?
Is it a Zoom?
Yeah, he was using the Zoom with the stereo mic.
Oh, I've looked into them. Yeah, they're nice looking. Yeah, I know some of them could be kind of pricey.
Yeah.
Mine like it was right at $100, but it
okay.
It works real good. I use it for the podcast quite a bit.
Nice. I've always used a regular Olympus digital audio recorder, $35-$40 one.
Yeah.
And it's worked great. I mean, it's always worked great, because I'll set it right out around my camp, like when I go, I'll leave it out. I've been known to leave it out for a week at a time, because it's got a lot of recording. I'll find like an old stump or old hollow or opening in a tree and wedge it in there, and with the mic sticking out. I mean, I've picked up vocalization, howls, and all kinds of stuff off of it.
When you bought it, did it come with a Lavu mic?
What's that now?
Did it come with a lapel mic when you bought it?
No. It tell you what, I can show you if you give me a second. I'll show you exactly what it looks like.
The reason I was saying is that works great on a parabolic. You take those little lapel mics and put it on the of your unit that runs out, and just point it back at your disc, and you've got a parabolic for less than $40.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I'll show you exactly what I got.
Yeah, I had bought a cheap little earbud with just the one earbud to use for my parabolic with the mic. And I was going to put that on there and just clip off the earbud and just use the mic. So I plugged it into my recorder. I talked into it. Man, it sounded great. So I get the wire cutters. I'm cutting. Man, I cut off the wrong end.
Oh, no.
And I cut off the wrong damn end. I was like, what an idiot.
This is what I got right here.
Oh, yeah, that is the good little Olympus. Yeah. 2100.
It's got the mic right there. Now, with one thing I've done before, I haven't done it with these. I used to have a Sony, a silver looking little Sony one. Now you got you can put your earbuds in one and then add an extra microphone to the other. It's got a microphone jack to it. Now the one thing I have done, if you have the right wires, you can hook up to your handheld parabolic mics. I used to use this to try to pull the trigger on the mic, the parabolic, and use this for recording. Excuse me. It works on certain ones. It doesn't quite work on this one. It worked on the Sony I used to have, but maybe it would work if I had the right stuff, wires. But I know they can be very sensitive. But I like it. I recommend it to a lot of people just getting started. Like I said, it's about $35, $40. So
yeah, I think
it's a digital voice recorder VN 7200. Yeah. So
that's a 7200. So yeah, Joe, I'm one of those. I've got the perfect area down there at our property for. Where did you get the squirrel?
At Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply.
And this is all PVC pipe and PVC connector. I just glued it on there and So.
Did you see that big parabolic that me and Brian made out of the the satellite dish?
No,
Now
Oh wow!
you talk about pick up some stuff, pick up
I
stuff,
imagine it does. Yeah.
but it's so heavy. We had it on a pedestal, and Brian's scream, that the scream that his fame to fortune, he says, the one that was on that big. But we took a Dish Network dish that they mount on the side of the house because they're perfectly built already. You just take the satellite module off of the armature that comes out front,
Okay.
and just tape or put your recorder or microphone on it, and then mount it on a tripod. God, man, them things will pick up stuff from long ways away.
Wow.
But you don't want to pack them around; they're not fun.
Yeah, those big parabolic mics I've seen on different videos. I think Finding Bigfoot had on one of their episodes one time, where they were with other people. I don't know, but you got the ones with a big dish on them, where you can set it up and stand it up on like a short tripod or something.
Yeah,
where you can hook it, how they hook up. But yeah, you're getting into big money right there. So
I think I've thrown away 4 of those big old dishes. Every time we moved, we don't take it with us. We just throw it in the garbage.
Oh yeah, because usually they give you a new one when you transfer.
I tell you, the cheapest one I ever built, it worked real good, and people laughed at me. I went to a dollar store and bought an umbrella. Cut the handle down, mounted me a handle on the back, and made it to because you could fold it up and slide it down inside your pack, and then just literally I've got a little bitty audio recorder, a little digital like this. I bought it for $20 on Amazon, and I just tape it on the handle or zip tie it, and then you just put aluminum foil or something. I didn't have to. It reflected the sound pretty good, and then you put it in your pack, and it actually worked pretty dang good.
You got me wanting to experiment now.
They're fun
to experiment.
They're real fun to play with. I'm working on a deal now. I've got a, how would you say, traverse and camera with night vision here with a microphone on it. I'm going to put a dish behind it for like a parabolic, and then mount it on top of my main research area down there. And we've got a travel trailer down there in our property because it's got night vision, and it'll reach out, probably 300, 400 feet.
Wow.
And I'm going to get it up there, and then I can actually be here at my house and monitoring down there and be able to program it to turn and through the internet. Just something to play with. Like I don't have anything else to do.
Oh, I'm just filling up my drink here. My good old Dr. Pepper.
Water all night. I got too hot today. Now you talk creeks, Daniel. Me and Mr. Randy Arrington's got us a idea of what we're fixing to try. I've got of course, Joe knows all about me with my canoes and stuff. I'm big into the canoeing and stuff, but we're going to take his night vision. He's got a remote night vision system that he mounts on a pole, and we're going to take a couple of parabolics, and we're going to float down some of the rivers here in Oklahoma and probably even like Caddo Lake area. We're wanting to hit in Texas and float on the water and kind of disguise it like a duck, put duck blinds and disguise it, and then just kind of float around using a trolling motor because it's quiet. Because everything's got to come to water, and then float up and down the rivers and see if we can catch stuff on thermal and
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I've had that idea for a while. Because in my research area, right across from where I mainly camp, my main camp area is the entrance that goes to the lake. And of course, this lake, there's no swimming allowed. You can only put, you only put non-power, only you can put boats. A lot of people go put kayaks, small john boats in them, because you're not allowed to have any gas-powered motors in it. But I have thought about putting a small boat on there, just sit out there at night, and with either night vision or my thermal floor, just kind of scan the surrounding area, and see what happens, because there has been tracks found around that lake. So me and my father found one 2-3 years ago, right up behind where we were fishing at one time. So we thought that was pretty cool. But
it's funny.
But there's Oh, go ahead.
It's funny you said the fishing. That's the reason I was thinking about this whole theory. Is I've had more weird sounds and experiences catfish fishing at night down on the rivers and stuff. Baldy, me and you talked about that the last time we talked. And most of my family has had more experiences, down there because we catfish all night long. And that's where when we hear it the most. I don't know if it's because they're more active at night, which we all know that now, or if they're drawn into us because of the fish. But that was kind of what gave me the idea of getting out on the boat. And matter of fact, if y'all listen to tomorrow's show that I'm releasing, Paul Ragsdale, Joe, he talks about a pretty hairy situation with two guys bow fishing in Garland, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Where they had I don't know if he's told you about where the thing was throwing stuff at them and bluff chart the creek bank.
No, he never told me that one. Yeah. But I've kind of got a little theory too on why they hang out, because you always hear. I don't think you always hear, but I've heard a lot of stories of them coming around piers and things like that. I think a lot of time when people are fishing, that they're usually gutting right there at the pier, and throwing the guts right there in the water. So it's an easy food source for them too, And I know I've done it before, as I'm fishing, I'll gut them right there, dump it in the water. So it's an easy meal for sure.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of stories also at night where people have actually gone fishing at night, and they've actually had a lot of encounters with Bigfoot at night. I even had indications where that they actually opened up a can of Charlie fish bait and started fishing for catfish, and like around 10, 15, 20 minutes later, they could actually start hearing stuff in the woods, and apparently there was the uncle and the nephew are both fishing down Airport Road in George West, Texas, and they're out there fishing at night, and then all of a sudden they hear this big old yell, and then so the uncle comes back and says, "Oh, he's back again." And he comes up, he goes, "What do you mean he's back again?" He goes, "Just stay still, and then and it's time for us to go." And they ended up leaving the area, and then so that's the nephew questions the uncle. He goes, "No, let's go," and the conversation just stopped. But there's actually I could just imagine how many stories that the fishermen actually had before dealing with the encounters with actually Bigfoot at night. So.
Yeah, you're right. I talked to a lot of people who fish at night, and that's and they've had encounters, with this thing.
Oh yeah. Interesting. I can't say. I mean, I fished a lot at night in other areas, but I can't say I've ever had any. I personally haven't experienced anything at night as far as fishing, but I've had quite an experience a lot at night, not fishing. As far as in my camp area and stuff, but because my area it is very active at night throughout certain times of the year. So you never know what you're going to experience out there when, some days it's a hit and miss, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
See, Joe, I don't know, y'all. I don't know if y'all experienced it. Well, when we were younger, we never thought of Bigfoot or any kind of other creatures being in our area. And Joe, I'm pretty sure that you live in San Antonio. When you were a child, talked about this, and we always were raised. Yeah, we were always raised up like the lechuza, and so
like Llorona, like that, yeah.
Exactly, but we were raised up with the Llorona and the lechuza, and then so never ever did we ever think of Bigfoot, because we that's the way that we grew up with, and then so when we used to go fishing at a private ponds, we would actually hear stuff actually getting thrown into the ponds that we were actually fishing in, and thinking that there are cousins messing with us. But you start to realize, hey, what the cousin's doing at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning out here messing with us at night. So so the very first thing, you just didn't pass it on by. But I don't know if you experienced anything like that when you were growing up as a child. If anybody, if you had stories about the lechuza when you were actually growing up.
You know, nothing I can really put my finger on. You know, the funny thing is that we used to go camping up in the Livingston area and Conroe area, which is right
Right.
down the road from San Luis Forest. You know, and the Huntsville Forest. You know, State Forest. As a matter of fact, we would go camping in the Huntsville all the time. But you know, my dad was a big fisherman. He was a hunter. Uh, you know, so we were always in the woods growing up. And if anything ever weird happened, I honestly don't remember. You know, I don't ever remember my dad being scared or being weirded out or acting strange. But I know you know, he did believe in Bigfoot and stuff like that. You know, I know he believed in it because anytime it would come on TV, we could be outside playing and it came on TV. He would call us, "Hey, come here, watch this, check it out." You know, so we'd all sit down and
Wow.
watch it together. You know, so I know he believed in it. Maybe he just didn't think they were down here, and anything he may have heard or saw, or he just kind of wrote it off to another animal. You know? And
Now,
that's just my speculation. You know?
when
Yeah,
you're saying the lechuza, that is the owl body in the woman's head.
correct.
Okay, up here in Oklahoma, we of course, with the First Nations that I've dealt with, they call it a stigini, but that it's all over Oklahoma up here. I mean, it even comes all. I've had a couple of what I thought was that myself. Usually about 4 foot tall with like a 8 to 10 foot wingspan.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if you noticed this or not. And have you ever noticed the old Spanish ladies putting foil paper on their windows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, so that's what they do a lot down here. And
Okay.
then so that they were one lady actually said that they actually saw like these something just staring inside their house at night, and they freaked them out. So they started putting foil paper all around the windows.
See that
I always thought that was to keep the heat out.
What now?
That's what I always thought. I always thought that was to keep the heat out, like you know, like they're
Yeah,
tinting their windows. That's what I always thought it was. I didn't know that's what it
yeah,
was for.
yeah.
So
But
that's
I
funny.
had a lady that do that. I had a lady that actually did that, and then actually had an encounter where it actually started looking inside the window. And then there was another lady across the same area, and I went to her house, and she had foil paper around the windows, and she was saying that there was something staring inside her house, and then he wanted them staring back inside there. And then I interviewed a couple of migrant workers that actually worked in the fields, and actually was telling me the same thing. So I'm going, okay, so there must be something in type of relations to that.
Hmm.
So
that's interesting. Baldy, when I brought or talked to you about doing that other alternative show, Joe is the one that actually mentioned to me about down on the river basins and stuff down there in Texas about them getting like you was talking about the lechuza, but he actually mentioned it with Lahona. You know, the screams hearing the screams and thinking that it was Bigfoot. You remember us having that conversation, Joe?
yeah,
Yeah. See, that's what I think the La Llorona is. I think it's a Bigfoot, and I think it became a myth about the La Llorona. You know, because a lot of times they always say she's in white. I mean, you know, there's plenty of white sightings of Bigfoot, you know, and screaming. And I imagine if you see that at night, you're gonna freak out. And what was that? You know, probably some scary ghost woman, you know, screaming like a woman. You know, and
yeah.
that's what I think. People might, you know, people get mad about that when I tell them that's what I think. I'm sorry, but that's what I think it is because
There's sometimes too that you have to realize is dealing with the paranormal stuff. And let me tell you one thing. And you're looking at one person up here in front of you that is into the paranormal big time. And I'm going to tell you a story about the Llorona. About the thing is, again, there's some, down these creeks, you have people the first settlers and everything like that, and then Indians would attack wagons and everything like that, and actually kill women, children, and whatever on it. And there was one particular time where there was a small little house inside this. We actually called it the camp house, and then there was actually a man that was actually a cowboy that was living there with his wife, and the moon was full. And then he looked us out the window, and they realized that he saw some people walking out. Well, she actually realized that there was people walking outside the house. Outside their house, you could actually see by the moonlight.
Mhm.
And it turned out to be two ladies and a little boy and this little girl. And so one lady was actually crying. And but it wasn't the Llorona that we were actually raised up as to be.
Mhm.
So anyway, so she thought that maybe that there was guests here at the ranch. So she didn't think nothing of it. So she went to her kitchen, started fixing a cup of coffee, and then all of a sudden, when she fixes a cup of coffee, she goes back into the living room. Lord and behold, there is four things into her house: the little boy, the little girl, and the two ladies that were actually there, and that she was actually seeing outside, actually now inside her house.
Mhm.
One lady was crying hysterically, and the husband was actually sleeping on the couch. And so the little boy and the little girl was actually sleeping on the couch and actually was playing with this guy's hands. Her husband's name was Albert, and actually playing around with his hands and everything. But Albert was sound asleep, but the lady was still crying like crazy. And the lady asked her, what do you want here? What are you doing in my house? And they didn't think nothing of it, said nothing to her. And so she said in English and in Spanish, what do y'all want here in my house? The lady still crying hysterically. Nothing of it. Huh? And so she said in English and in Spanish, what do y'all want here in my house? The lady still crying hysterically. Nothing of it. And then so when she did that, the ladies comes up and he goes, we need his help over there, and pointed to one direction. And next thing, so she got upset and grabbed the little kids and pushed them off Albert's lap, and she passed right through the air. His hands passed right through the air. And then so the two ladies looked at each other, and they were talking a foreign language that she called it gibberish. And she comes up there and goes, y'all have to leave now. And then all of a sudden they again started talking gibberish and just walked outside the house. But there's a lot of paranormal stuff that happens out there with actually, you can actually hear other ladies screaming, actually out there. So I just told that story.
I think it's funny that I think I've actually heard this story before. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I definitely believe in the paranormal stuff too. I know this is a big picture. Sorry, Daniel, but I believe in the paranormal stuff. I've had experiences with that too. Personal, hands-on experience, man. Shoot.
In other words, Joe's spooky like we are.
Excellent. I love that.
That's very cool, though. Oh, hey, there's Scott. Hold on, wait a minute. Who is it? Hey, you know Scott Owens, don't you, Gary?
Sounds familiar. I've met so many people since we started this thing.
Oh, no, wait. Did you just comment on the live chat? No, that's you. That ain't Scott. He said, "Hey, who's that fat dude in the blue shirt? He's ugly." I got confused. I said, "Wait a minute! I didn't want to read out loud. I was like, someone was making fun of you." I was like, "You did it to yourself, I guess." I got confused there for a second.
I got to keep us awake somehow.
Because I'm staring here. I'm watching the live chat. Anything new that pops up.
That name does sound familiar, though. What was his last name again? Scott what?
Oh, Scott Owens. Yeah, he is the one. It's him and Chrissy that was on here. They do the
Bigfoot Odyssey.
Bigfoot Explorer.
Excuse me. Yeah. Now isn't Patrick Vaughn in that too?
Wait a minute. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patrick Vaughn. Because when we did a thing together. Wait a minute. What's Patrick? Yeah, Patrick Vaughn was part of that. He had to set up to where Patrick Vaughn was called in.
Yeah.
So he could do things on here on this because we use the same platform. And he does things on here that I don't know how to do yet. So,
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm playing with it, but I'm so used to using that platform that I was telling you about the other night.
Right.
the reason I like using it is because you can share files, and it does chroma key. I can do interactive backgrounds behind me and stuff, and I've been using it a long time in the oil field, so I just keep using it. Me and Joe, we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
I gotta go, guys. Have a good night.
Okay.
Just gonna be a bunch of guys in the room now. Oh.
All right, Nikki. Thank you for coming on.
Gotta get up early tomorrow. See ya.
All right. Have a good one. Let me back up. There was a question on here that I wasn't trying to ignore, and here it is right here. It's from Dinobot. If he's still listening, he says, "What do you think is the maximum weight for an adult male Sasquatch?" That's an interesting one. Of course, that would have to be just based off of our assumptions and guesses, and
I
wouldn't even.
Pretty good guesstimation of the one I seen, and that's the only thing I can go by.
Yeah,
he was about 7 foot tall, and about, folks, I'm 320 pounds. I'm a pretty big boy, and this thing had shoulders on me like this, and I would say he was every bit of 650, 700, easy. It's just broad, just masculine, just crazy, crazy broad. I mean, just.
Yeah, I mean, you hear some people say, "Oh, they up to 1,000 to 1,500 pounds." I mean, considering, if we compare them, I would think they would be a lot more weight if they have more muscle mass than fat. That's again, that's if we're comparing them to a non-human primate, because knowing that they have very little fat. Yeah. Well, chimpanzee has very little fat compared to the muscle, but
here's an idea. Everybody knows the lowland and the highland gorilla.
Right.
Mountain gorilla is the heavier of the two, and a 5 foot they can get up to 4.5, 5 foot, maybe when they stretch up 6, and on average they'll weigh 450 to 600 pounds. Now, if we figure if these things are built like they are, if you add 2 foot and mass, that's a pretty big animal. That is a very big animal.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, even Patty, they talk that there's so much conjecture about Patty, but I have to go by what, I don't care. Honestly, I'm going to say it. I don't care what anybody thinks. I have to go by the man that I know, that I've interacted with, and that I have a lot of respect for, and that's Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. And even he said on TV that Patty, according to in his opinion, weighed 600 pounds.
And she was estimated, I think, that from off an analysis and this studying of the video, what they estimate her to be about 7 foot, 7'3", somewhere along that. Yeah. And the tracks that were recorded and documented from the site, what were they? What were those 17, 18-inch tracks?
I think it was right in there. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, somewhere in there.
That's the reason when you said, who was it earlier, said they found a 16, 17-inch track. Was it you or Baldy?
I did. In that one area I was talking about, there were 16 to 18-inch tracks.
Yeah, that's a big boy. that's a big one.
Well, one thing I often think about, and this is talking about the Patterson footage. They can't prove it to be fake. They can't prove it to be real. But I personally believe it. I want to believe it, and I guess part of me does believe that it is a real thing. I think in a lot of cases, a lot of people use the Patty in the footage as the ideal model for what Sasquatch is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I don't think that's safe to do because it's like if we compared to other species like non-human primates, chimpanzees, gorillas, they all have different appearances. They all different sizes. Just like humans, we all have different looks and sizes and shapes. You know, I mean, we could have a six. You know, I know a guy, a young kid, about a little over 6 foot tall. He's tall. Yeah, he's taller than me. He's about 6'3". I'm guessing 6'4". But he's got a 15-inch foot.
Yeah.
So makes you really wonder. You know, I mean, then you got what basketball players they wear their shoe sizes are in their 20s. You know, early 20, like 23. Like what Shaquille O'Neal, for example, what's a size 23 shoe or something like that?
Yeah, and he's 380 something pounds, I think.
Yeah.
When I was in when I was this, I don't know if you can see this or not. So I got a cast rod up here.
Hold on, it's stuck in one. Move it over a little bit.
I think he froze.
up.
This thing turned out to be like 19 inches.
Oh wow, 19 inches.
Long.
Hold on, you're. I hear bits and pieces of what you're saying, Baltimore. You're breaking up a little bit. All right, he froze up again.
Dang you, Baldy. Go out.
All right,
Go ahead. I'm just messing.
No, I'm just saying I did pick up on what he was saying. He said the track turned out to be around 19 inches.
For
mainly for the one he was holding up and trying to show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, hold on. He's coming back in. Hold on. All right. Ballum, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Hold on.
You hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I hear you now. Your camera's turned off right now.
Yeah.
You just have to turn your camera back on. Oh, he hung up. He must have pushed the wrong button. Oh, there he is again. Hold on.
Thing going.
There he is.
I had this cast. I don't know if you can see it or not.
You're kind of going in and out again, Baltimore.
And this is,
Oh, there you. Yeah.
all right. Hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
All right. This cast right here, this was actually underneath a deer feeder, and this guy from Berkeley, Texas, called me up and said, "Hey, I got something weird underneath my feeder. It looks like a track, but it just finished raining, and it was just underwater." And I went up there and I said, "Well, let me take a look what you have." And he was telling me that he would always kill hogs over there, and he would actually put these hogs in a pile. And next thing that you would see is that the next morning it would be way across the other field. And I'm talking about 200-pound hogs, 300-pound hogs, pretty big hogs. And something's been taking them over there and eating them. And and he was telling me about this footprint that he had underneath his feeder. And I went over there, and I didn't want to cast it because it didn't have. I didn't see any toes, but I said, you know what? I got to cast it anyway. And then, so the more I looked at the print, the more really got me thinking, what could something so huge make an imprint like that? And it was perfect in there. And so I just had to I just had to cast it, and it turned out to be like 19 inches long by pretty close to 9.5 inches wide, and that was a big boy, whatever it was. So, and down there in Berkeley, they didn't call it Bigfoot; they always call it the Monkey Man out there. Yeah. So
Monkey Man.
the Monkey Man, and then they even had stories out there where pipeliners. There was a group of workers that just came out from the oil field working, and they actually saw a hairy creature using a stick as a digging tool, and they were fighting with the binoculars, just trying to trying to see this creature just digging this stuff up. And again, Berkeley, Texas. I have so many different stories from there. I even have Daniel. You seen the pictures that I showed you dealing with that house that was actually taken from Berkeley, Texas. That actually had these. Actually had this hut that the animal actually built there. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talking about the pictures you brought up here last when you came up with our first conference? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Hey guys, I gotta get going.
Everybody.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm so quiet. I'm actually typing on the YouTube deal.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Joe. It was
hey man,
great having you on. Great meeting you. So.
Yeah, great meeting you too, guys. I appreciate it, man. Hey, Baltimore, keep in touch, buddy. You too, Daniel. Keep in touch.
Oh, sure thing.
And yeah,
I would send you a friend request, but I'll have to clear some space off because I'm at the max and.
Okay.
So,
All right, that's cool, man. I get it.
Joe, I'll send you that audio tomorrow.
Joe.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, you have a good night.
All right. You too. Thank you. All right.
Good guy. He's an awesome cat. He's got a good heart.
Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of information there.
He does.
That's for sure.
He's been doing this, and when I say this, and I'm not going to go out on a limb to say this, he's been doing this a while, and he's very passionate about it. He's been doing it. Well, I don't want to say too much, but he had some personal issues a couple of years back, and he kind of sunk his whole heart into Bigfooting. And when I say personal issues, his family, well, he's went through a divorce, and he has been doing it. He is every weekend that he's off, and a lot of times in the afternoons when he's off, he's out in the woods. He's a good guy.
No, pretty cool.
So,
all right. Well, we still have people listening, so if you guys, anyone that's listening, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw any questions out there, and we'll see what happens.
I've been having a conversation with a Matt Hooper.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We kind of got. He had a couple of suggestions. I might bring them up if you don't mind, Matt. I need to move this microphone over where you can hear me.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Let me try this. I won't be able to see y'all. Well, yeah, I can see you through there. Okay, see where he's got that up. He's talking about the tracks, where we're talking about tracks, and then he got into about their throat. I'm trying to find it again. I don't want to misquote him. Oh, here we go. I guess he's doing a lot of audio work right now. And I said something along Matt Hooper, a good point about the throat. It's right up here. Pretty much, if I can find it. Okay. Under my opinion, after going over lots of audio, they seem to have a throat built like howlers with a massive hyoid bone. And as soon as he said that, that would explain the long drawn out, like the Ohio howls, and being able to amplify things. And it's funny also that he said that because even in my sighting, when I seen the thing's face, its mouth with it closed, it was like it stretched wider than a human's mouth. You know how human's mouth, according to their face, is kind of narrow. This thing's mouth was big, and that's my personal opinion of what I saw, my personal interpretation. But then he went on to say something along the lines of, if I can find it, I was saying if they did have, he was saying, imagine a 7-foot tall howler, how much power they would have in their vocals. That would explain how we're hearing them for such a long distance. And then I came back and said, if that's the case, think of the infrasound capabilities of something with vocal cords like that. And then they just kind of let down. The whole point of that I want to make a conversation is which of course this is all speculative because none of us have done an autopsy on the target species. But if their mass is as big as we think they are, if they're 7 feet tall and they have the lung capacity that we've been discussing tonight with the heavy breathing Baldy that you was talking about, if they do have vocal cords like this, that would, a lot of the times we're getting the audio, they could actually be farther away than we think they are.
Well, just for just let you know, I just shared a link. This is a West Virginia vocalizations. I sent it to you, Gary, in Baltimore, and I'm gonna get ready to share it in the chat too, if Matt wants it. Maybe Matt might have heard it before, but I thought it was pretty interesting.
I'll tell you,
I've heard this a while back, but yeah, it's one you guys might. Maybe like I said, maybe you guys have heard it. I don't know.
Is it on? You sent it on Facebook?
Actually, yeah, I sent it to you through Messenger, but I'm gonna also share the link in the chat.
With my system here, I can actually play it if you want me to.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to, yeah, you could do that. Like I said, I just put it in the chat. Oh, there's a link right there.
Well, then
it is during the video, it's a video. It's actually raining out, but you can hear the vocalization pretty good in it. And I'm not sure what part of West Virginia this is, but it's, according to the video, it was recorded off of, it looked like it might have been recorded out of somebody's backyard, because all you see is nothing but woods and like hills, and so.
Let's just see what. Oh, it's a pretty long video.
Yeah, you don't have to play the whole thing. I think there's enough in it to kind of give everybody an idea of, Oh, I see we lost Baltimore.
That's interesting. I've heard a
Yeah, you notice how there was a couple different. It sounded like the tone changed it a little bit in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really wish I knew what part of West Virginia that is, because my researcher. I'm here in the Shenandoah Valley. You're already on the western side of Virginia, and the West Virginia line is just within. It's like my main camp. 6 miles, you're in West Virginia. If you go up the other, and when you go up there, it's nothing but woods and mountains. You're just surrounded by woods and everything, But there is certain particular areas of West Virginia I've gotten reports and stories from. People either hearing or seeing or having objects thrown at them. I know there's one area I investigated here in Virginia. The lady, she does horseback riding, and she was it was a certain location in West Virginia. There's a certain well-known trail that's made for, I forget, she shares some details about it. I can't remember much of it, but they've actually had a rock thrown at them. And the funny thing is, they heard it coming before they had it land right next to one of their horses. It's like the way she described it, you could hear the sound of it, come flying through the trees. With a couple of trees, and then boom, it lands right behind the rear end of the horse. It didn't hit nobody, didn't hit a horse, but it came pretty close.
So, that area up there, how far are you from the Appalachian Trail?
Appalachian Trail, from what I understand, it's right here. It pretty much because I know we get a lot of Appalachian hikers that come down into town to eat, freshen up, do what they got to do, and they head on. I mean, exactly the route of the Appalachian Trail, but I know they pick it up right here. So
that whole area up through there has got, everybody talks about old history in the Pacific Northwest, but if they really get to digging, that whole Appalachian Trail and all the way through there has got sightings way back there, in the early 1800s.
Yeah, well, we got the Allegheny Mountains right here too. Allegheny Mountains is another popular area, that runs through here on the West Virginia, the borders of West Virginia and everything else. So, yeah. But there's so much there's just so much I haven't gotten to really investigate. That I've gotten stories and reports from. Just so much of it. I've tried to get other people involved, but man, it's hard to get the dedication. I've actually been recently contacted by a couple people that are really wanting to get involved, and which is great. It's encouraging because one of them is actually military. He's a survivalist. He teaches classes, and him and his son has always been wanting to get involved with the Bigfoot thing. And, I've gotten contacts from others, which is actually between they're new. These are new people that are actually in the area that's been wanting to get involved with doing something like this. So I just have to play it by ear. On top of it, I've been busy myself, so it's hard to get to things, as it is just being me, because I've been solo. I've gone out with others before, but it's always been found it easier to be solo because it's easier to depend on yourself than others. So
and you also don't get what's the word? I've found that with the bigger groups, me and Baldy was talking about this the other day. If you go out with 7 or 8 people, you have a tendency to get a little bit of how would we say, cross contamination of I haven't had in big groups. I haven't had near the activity. I've had some times that we've had activity with SBA guys, had some pretty good activity, but I've had more consistent good activity when it's just me and my wife or me and a couple of people,
Well, the one thing I've noticed about having groups, the best time I've gotten activity is in the evenings when we're just hanging out at camp. And the thing is, I mean, I might have come across as an ass or whatever to some of these people because, here I am, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to, but at the same time, I'm the main quiet one because I'm zoned in, I'm focused on what's going on around me. And all of a sudden I start hearing things and I was like, these people could hear it too if they learn to shut up. And I've actually had to tell them like real sharp and blunt, like, shut up, kind of way, like I said, hey, you guys are missing what's that, you guys are out here to hear this. You're not hearing it because you're talking, I get frustrated.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I said, I want everyone to have fun, but man, you're missing out on what's happening around it.
Well, the whole we're out here and you're not doing it. Yeah. In saying one of my biggest things, they used to make fun of me because I sit with my back to the campfire. I don't stare at the campfire. And I'm usually kind of off away from everybody. And they're like, what are you doing off? You're not being social. I'm like, I'm not out here to be social. I'm out here to research. And if we want to camp out, we'll just camp out. But my biggest pet peeve, and I'm not pointing no fingers at nobody, is light discipline. It drives me nuts when somebody hears something and they shine a light over there real fast because I truly believe that a spotlight's a better deterrent for these things than a gun. And then shining a light, wearing a headlamp and turn their head and look at you and the lamp's right in your face, running your night vision. That just kind of stuff drives me nuts, man.
Well, like we were talking about, like my encounter in 2014, I don't know if it was you or I think it may have been Scott and Christy. They were talking about it, because I briefly shared my encounter, and I think that they brought that same point up about, because the small one was swaying side to side. The other ones kept blinking their eyes. and it was possible that our lights were too bright for them. And here it is, because it was after midnight, and they're standing in the total darkness, and we're projecting these lights off our headlamps at them, and they're trying to not stare directly at us, but yet they're blinking their eyes. The tallest one, the biggest one, yeah, he's turned to the side, took a step or two, and looked back, and he kind of blinked his eyes a couple times, and so yeah, the light may have been affecting them, but it's like a year later, I was by myself camping right around the corner from where that happened, and I walked out to the middle of the road in pitch dark. I had a spotlight on my hand, but I didn't turn it on until after I got to the middle of the road. There was nobody else camping in that whole area, because I paid close attention to who might have been there, who wasn't. There was nobody. But when I started shining my light, after I got into the middle of the road, I started shining the light. I turned it on, and the first thing I heard, I didn't see it, but I know what the sound of the animals are at night.
Mhm.
A deer takes off running. Okay, I spooked up a deer. It was just inside the tree line. I said, okay, cool. And I continued. I'm still panning over. By the time I got over to between the 1 and 2 o'clock position with my spotlight in the woods, all of a sudden I hear walking away from me. And even though I didn't see it, I knew right away that's not a bear. That's bipedal steps. It's very large and very heavy. And apparently I spooked it because the light was right there. It was just inside that tree line. Tree line was about 20 feet away from me. And it had been just inside that tree line. And when I heard that, yeah, I was literally walking backwards towards my camp. Yeah. So, I mean, and that was in the same area, right? Just same patch of woods, just around the corner from where a year earlier we've had 6 of us had that encounter, seeing 3 of them. So,
if you don't mind, I'd like to hear that story.
Well, which one? The 3 of them?
Yeah, the 3 of them.
Well, that happened in 2014, and it was during a camping expedition. Like I said, there was only, including me, there was only 6 of us. And what happened from where we were camping at that time, from the camp location to from the camp location to the lake, where we had hiked down to the lake while it was still daylight, and we got to the lake, and it was getting late, and it was late in the evening. It might have been around, by the time we got there, it was probably around 8 o'clock. It was still daylight, and 6 of us, we paired up in twos, and we spread out around that lake, because around on the one side of the lake or along that strip, there is these handicap accessible little docks. They're like little 10 by 10 little docks, or whatever you want to call them, where they're accessible to where you can roll out a wheelchair on them. And so there was an older couple with us. They stayed there down at the base of at the entrance of the lake, close to the peninsula. There was a little wooden bench down there, and they stayed down there. And then Tracy Arnold and his son, they paired up on a dock, and then me and Cliff Stanley, we went further up. We skipped a dock or 2 up ahead, and all of us were in radio communication, hanging out. We gave off vocalizations. We ended up getting one back because Kimmy, that was with us, Kimmy and Darren, they were from Vermont. They were down with us, and Kimmy gave off a vocalization, and she put out a good vocalization. We got a response off of hers, which sounded pretty cool. It was actually came from over top of the mountain ridge on the opposite side of the lake. And then as the night fell, me and Tracy Arnold, we both had parabolic mics. We were taking the time, listening up on the ridge behind us, and we were here picking up on movement, hearing things and everything. But make a long story short, let's go. We all end up regrouping. We all met back up at the beginning of the lake and decided, let's start heading back to camp, because we had at least a good mile hike back to camp.
Mm-hmm.
And by this time it was late, and we're walking up the forest road, leaving out of the lake area, and just in a single file line, more or less, and just talking at normal tone, because there was no one else but us down that way. And so we're walking along, and then kind of scanning the tree, the wood, on the side of the forest road. And we've seen a couple deer on the one side, no big deal. And we're continuing walking along, and I'm up ahead of everybody. And then all of a sudden, something caught my attention. I
think I lost you.
wasn't looking at. What's that?
I lost you.
I'm sorry. I
for a
thought you
minute.
said something.
I did. I lost.
I don't know what happened. Oh, okay.
Down.
Well, I shared this quite a bit, so I don't know. But so yeah, we were walking along the forest road after seeing a couple deer on the one side, and after walking up ahead, something caught my attention, and I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. And so yeah, my first thought was because it wasn't moving. I didn't know it was a set of eyes till it actually blinked at me.
Oh.
But yeah, the first thing I thought before I saw it blink was, okay, it's one of the little yellow reflector signs on a tree, because in random places there's these little yellow signs that says no traffic behind, or whatever, no motorized vehicles beyond this point. Well, that's what I thought it was, but because it was dark and my headlamp wasn't quite clear on it, and I was like, I'm staring at it, and my eyes became focused on it, because it blinked its eyes, and that's when I realized, and the first thing that ran through my head, Tracy Arnold was like just a few feet behind me. I said, Tracy, we got eye shine up here. I pointed at, he saw the same thing. I said, is that a freaking mountain lion? Because it was down low. Yeah. It was, that's what I was thinking. I said, that's down low. That's got to be a mountain lion or something. Then whatever it was kind of disappeared. I was like, Tracy yelled to the rest of the group, come on, guys, we got some eye shine going on up here. So we all get up into that location where we saw that. And then we see it again. Apparently, whatever it was ran back probably 30, 40 feet. And keep in mind, from the road, the reason why it was so low, because off the side of the road, it sloped down.
Oh,
It had a gradual slope, then it leveled back out. So it was whatever was there was small enough to look low. Well, even looking at it after we picked it up again, we seen the clear yellow eye shine, and whatever this was only about 4 feet tall, and it was doing this number, swaying side to side. And we all see this. We all get up there. We all have our headlamps on, and we're all observing this movement that it's doing this swaying motion. And then within a minute, maybe, at least within a minute, we picked up on another set of eye shine that was probably about 4 or 5 feet away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And this eye shine was just standing there, and it was around, we estimated at that particular time, around 6 foot tall. And it was blinking its eyes at us, as we were noticing that one and the short one. Well, it got a lot more interesting at this point after observing the two of them, because where this is, there was a few trees and it's real thick in there. There's some bushes. Yeah. Well, behind the bushes to the right of the 6 foot one, we noticed something that was down low, and it was slowly raising up. We believed it was crouched down.
Yeah.
Because by the time it got all the way up, it was towering over top of the 6 foot one. Yeah. It was like looking down. I mean, literally, it was at least 2 feet above it. And yeah. But this is what got interesting. Well, we noticed, okay, this is much bigger, and it's blinking its eyes at us too. But when it took a step, that's when the silhouette showed up. Because I guess the light caught the angle, at the right angle.
Yeah.
Because it turned to the side, took a step or two, and looked back. You could see a big round dome-looking head, and then broad shoulders. And there was no sound coming from these whatsoever. But, I think me and Tracy Arnold, I don't know if anyone else did. I'm pretty sure it was just me and Tracy Arnold. And
Yeah.
at one point, Tracy Arnold was like, "Guys, we got squatches." I was like, I was already thinking that in my head, but I wasn't saying nothing. And I'm thinking we got, at this point, this got to be a family unit, So, we were actually acting pretty silly about this. There's video footage of this. Now, keep in mind, we didn't know it would be in film because Cliff Stanley had a small camcorder. He was filming the whole incident. The whole time, basically, you could hear us and see us, staring into the woods off the side of the forest road, watching what we were watching. But not even the eye shine showed up. A couple people swear they see eye shine. I don't. I don't see the eye shine. But so yeah. Yeah. Come on. Where's it? Hold on. Is that Baltimore?
Yeah.
All right, there. I muted him for a second. So yeah, we were observing all this. We were, a couple of us gave out some short little vocals, we were trying to trigger a response from these.
Yeah.
And so after nothing happened, they all seemed to be walk off. They all walked off and disappeared further into the darkness. And at this time, we're like kind of like, I guess because there was 6 of us. I don't think none of us felt scared. I think Kimmy was a little nervous. And she ended up standing behind all of us. But we all started walking away. After they disappeared, we continued to walk off. And as we're walking, we're talking and like trying to get ourselves together. Like, did we really just see what we just saw, whatever? And you could hear a couple, minor limbs snap and whatever from whatever they were, walking. You could hear that they were walking because you could hear occasional limb snap. Whatever. But we got back to camp and we were still talking about it. We weren't shutting up. We were like super wide awake, like here it is way after midnight. And we were trying to figure out what else it could have been. And like here's the kicker. Here's the thing. I tell everybody, me and Tracy, we both had backpacks on.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what we had in our backpacks? We had night vision. Not once did we think about pulling them out during the whole incident. We never thought about it whatsoever.
Caught up in
so, yeah. But we all went to bed that night, excited, like a bunch of kids, I don't know, just excited. But we went back to that same location the next day to do a daytime height comparison. And I think we were pretty much on point. Because what we estimated with the heights and everything, because we had 2 of us down there, we had a couple up on the road, and the heights that we guessed, were pretty much on point. So there was about 4 foot, 6 foot, and an 8 foot. So
wow.
And so yeah, that was 2014, and that area produces a lot of wildlife in there. There's been turkey in there, deer in there. I have found tracks in there. The incident I shared with you a little while ago, when I was camping by myself during the hunting season.
Yeah,
that was 2015, where something walked away. So, but I've had my father camping in my in the camp spot with me and a few other people. He's always hearing the stories that I have to share with him about little things. If I've heard something or found something, it's always mainly from that area. But he came camping with me and a few others, and the first few days it was dull. We weren't hearing nothing. It was boring, but boring as far as not getting activity. Of course we enjoy ourselves camping.
Oh yeah.
But I think it was the 3rd day. Dad, my father, he had his tent next to mine, and it was comfortable temperatures, but it was a little cold for him because he took heart medicine and it kind of thinned out his blood a little bit. So he's like, guys, I'm gonna go lay down. I'm a little tired. I'm cold, So he wasn't even in his tent like 10 minutes, and then it's dead quiet, and we're all sitting there around the fire, just sitting there, and all of a sudden, it sounded like somebody with a Louisville slugger went full force up against the pine tree, right across from the camp, in that same area. Because the pine trees around there are pretty big around. And I know a little piece of wood like this that I carry with me puts off a loud bass knock. Well, this wood on wood knock right outside of our camp brought Dad out of his tent. And the first thing Dad said, I heard that, and I couldn't help but laugh. Yeah. I pointed, I said, right over there, Dad. They're over there, So, hold on, let me unmute. Oh. Sounds like he's driving.
Matter in the middle of a Texas tornado.
All right, there it goes. It sounds like it's stopping now. Well, it stops. Okay, I noticed. Hold on. I noticed it stops when we start talking. Follow, do you hear that?
No.
All right, now I'm not hearing it. It went away now.
You know what that is? That's
what?
Automatic deal. Hey, Baltimore?
Yes.
Down at the bottom of the screen in the center, there's a deal that says settings. Are you on your phone or on?
Cell phone. I mean, on my computer.
Okay, down in the center of the screen, you'll see your leave studio, share screen settings, stop cam, and all that. Do you see that at the bottom? Click on settings, please.
Okay.
And then at the very bottom of it, you'll see a disable below default speakers. You'll see a disable audio processing.
Yes.
Would you uncheck that, please?
It is unchecked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I've been doing some remodeling on this house.
Yeah.
And apparently there have been some paranormal stuff going on here.
Oh.
So I'm blaming it because of that.
Yeah, he sounds pretty good right now, though. I don't hear that issue now. Yeah, on our end, it sounded like you were driving. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me, like you were driving and the window was down or something.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how it sounded for Gary, but that's what it sounded like on my end.
It sounded like it was in a wind tunnel.
Yeah, there you go.
Mama just laid the law down. I'm gonna have to shut down for the night when my world headquarters gets changed. I'll have a dedicated studio to where I can do this all night long. But
nice.
She said she's ready to go to bed, so I've got to shut down because it just happens to be the computer is in the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Totally understandable. Yeah, well, we've been on for it's showing 3 hours and 2 minutes. Now.
3 hours. Wow.
Yeah. 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 45 seconds. So,
well, before I jump off of here, I'm starting a little deal over on our side, something similar to this, but I don't know if it's going to be a dedicated night, but we're going to call it open mic night. And I'll send y'all links whenever we do it. And man, y'all are welcome over there anytime you want. You just give me a shout and we'll set it up. And I'd like y'all to get in a little round table like this with Randy. Randy's, pretty good. He's another one of them that I have a tendency being the age that I am. I'm younger than you guys. I try to find guys like you that knows a little bit more than me in different areas. And I try to latch onto them like an old pit bull. That way I can learn something. I'm going to jump off of here and let y'all take it. Folks, we enjoyed it. Everybody that's been listening, I sure appreciate y'all listening to me. Guys,
absolutely.
Surprise. Coming.
Well, I'm saying, yeah. I'm going to jump off of here. Guys, appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to call it a night too. If my work week ain't so tiring, sometimes I know I like to try to do maybe a little something during the week. I was going to try that this past week. I was just too tired, but I don't know. I might surprise you guys. I might do something here, try not to do it too late, during the work week. But so it's one of the things I got to play by ear.
That's the problem you get into is with this. We all love this subject so much. Once we get started, like I didn't even know it was 3 hours until you said something.
Yeah.
Like me and you, Baldy, we was at it for 5 hours.
I know, God.
Holy crap.
I treat it like this. My fiance comes up and he goes, "You don't talk to me for 5 hours." And I was going, "I'm sorry, baby, but
we covered Daniel with me doing the paranormal before I've done paranormal investigation for 20 plus years, and I've always had Bigfoot. I've known of Bigfoot, but I was always kind of scared to really mess with the big hairy guy because some of the stories that I've heard. And but me and Baltimore got off on the paranormal side of it, and come to find out we have a lot in common in our beliefs, even in our history, and we come from two opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm half Mongolian. I come from the eastern, and being Buddhist you never figure that we would have as much in common as we did, but we really do. It was mind-blowing. It was awesome. It was
great. It was great. It was like the two meetings of the minds. It was. It was amazing.
Vulcan mind meld, man. It was crazy. It was well, folks, I'm going to jump off here, so I don't. If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, and I want to keep Mama happy.
Oh, definitely.
Talk to y'all later. Absolutely. All right, sounds good. Everybody that was tuned in tonight, thank you guys for putting up with us. I know we still have 8 people watching, so we
for 3 hours. Wow.
Yeah, there's still 8 left over.
Who's there?
Well, I don't know who all the viewers are. I see Jim Jerkins just made a comment, so he just jumped on. Unfortunately, Jim, we're going to be getting ready to jump off. After this goes off, feel free to go back and watch it. We've been on here 3 hours. Oh, Donald's here, so he's checking in. He's so Donald Slovey, Jim Jerkins. I think Matt's still on here. So, but yeah, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, please become a subscriber. Hit subscribe and make sure you hit the little bell icon. But we'll be back at a later time and date with another podcast discussion. Find us on Facebook too. I mean, we go live on Facebook. Sometimes I direct this on Facebook or here on YouTube, of course. So. But with that being said, it's after 12 a.m. here. It's 12:15 a.m. And so we're gonna end the 3-hour podcast.
Wow.
And I see Baltimore's got his Dr. Pepper. I got mine right here next to me.
Yeah, mine's a dark cherry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good drink.
I like the Dr. Pepper. If you get Dr. Pepper out of the fountain, a fountain machine, if they're the fountain drinks that offer like the different flavors, like cherry, vanilla, or lemon, I add vanilla to mine. It's Dr. Pepper vanilla is awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I gotta try that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's good stuff. But
all right, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a good. It was a good show. Sorry for me being so long-winded, but
no, don't ever complain about that. That's why sometimes I like to sit back and listen to you guys. Then if something pops up, like I'll share something on my end too. So I'm more of a listener. That's why I like when others discuss things. I'll try to watch the live chat after something that pops up on the live chat to ask you guys. So
right. See, it was like Gary. I mean, Gary, when we had the meeting of the minds, I call it. Man, that guy has so much knowledge on him. I'm going, oh man. Even Joe. I asked him, messaged him a few times and asked. We back and forth with questions, and but those guys right there, totally amazing. Nikki has always been great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Even that lady from Louisiana, she was also incredible tonight too, as well. So
yeah, eventually I'm gonna get Scott on here because Scott and Christy, they had me on Bigfoot Explorer this past week, and I really enjoyed it. They asked me a lot of different questions, which it's easier when somebody asks me the questions, than me to try to come up with sharing my thoughts on things. When somebody addresses the questions to me, it's easy for me to reply with what I know or believe. So that's one thing I do appreciate them. They threw some good questions out on different things based off of my belief and everything else. So
definitely, and you answered them great. I mean, I watched the show, and that show was amazing. So you did an excellent job with that.
well, thank you very much. And like I tell them, and I told them, and I tell everybody else, we're not experts, but we try our best. So, so yeah, we'll get them on here again, and and so you got so you could have the opportunity to chat with them, and perhaps. Oh, one more thing, which actually hang in there. I'm going to end this broadcast, but I'll share something with you real quick. So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video around. All right, and